beautiful.
We still on for dinner?
Pepper, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, right?
How about 8:30 at the vegan place?
Actually, I'm in the mood for barbecue.
Sounds good.
Take a call and stay in the game. With the Plantronics rig, headset, and mixer, life comes to games like never before.
You don't need much more than this. The next start, falling here as well. Decimate takes a lot of damage. He's dead as Evan picks that one up. And immunity, I think they've done it. The Nexus ban now sooner. Gonna get taken out here as well. Swiper taking it up. The Nexus taking damage and immunity. They have done it. They will go to game some. Good game, well played.
This is just the beginning of Riot's esports presence in Australia, right? We're here to stay. Stick around.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Riot Round of 8 here, and it is the Autumn Regionals, of course. My name is Place, and I'm joined with Atlas, as always, and man, we got a pretty cool event going on, so let's do a quick overview of what's happening.
Yeah, we had, of course, yesterday, Team Immunity taking on the underdogs of Optic Snipers, finishing that game 2-0, but the Optic Snipers were a little bit more impressive than we were expecting.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, the first game of Group B, of course, the first one being Group A. Group B, the first game, Your Soul Shroud Chuffer taking on Frenetic Array. Frenetic Array taking that one away 2-0, but it was also fairly competitive games. Today, we go back into Group A for our second matchup, and it's Little Wraith taking on Avant-Garde Ascension. Most of the members, of course, being Mind Freak previously. So they were the ones that qualified from ACL.
No, they qualified in CG. But this is the big thing you got to remember here is that the Mind Freak lineup did so well when they qualified in CG, which was considered the hardest event to qualify through, that Avant's organization clearly felt that it was a good idea to sponsor them, and so they brought them on board along with their other team, their now sister team, Avant-Garde Redemption, who didn't manage to qualify, unfortunately. They had their dreams crushed by Optic Snipers in the Challenger qualifier. Yes. But, you know, we have to say here that Mind Freak, or now Avant-Garde Ascension, are looking like a fantastic team going to this lineup, and so is Little Wraith. You know, some of Little Wraith's recent achievements are their win over none other than the Team Immunity in the November.
I think that's their biggest one.
Exactly.
Think it's everyone's biggest one. If they can manage to take down the powerhouse that is Immunity, I'd put that on every resume I ever wrote.
Yeah, and it wasn't just taking out Immunity. The fashion that they did it was incredible. I mean, they started playing competitively as a team back at the start of November of last year, and by the end of the month in Go for LOL, they took up against Immunity in the finals, beat them out in a best-of-3 series, and it was game-changing, because that was the first time Immunity had lost since the WCG qualifiers in 2011, so it was a long time ago.
I think it was. That isn't even a team anymore. So
yeah,
that was a long time ago. It was way back in the memory banks.
Yeah. So that's our day overview there. So let's take a look at this. Our mid lane matchup for this game here. It's going to be Little Dopper and Choo Choos. Look at their last played as well. I love this. It's the Assassins against the Poke.
Yeah, absolutely. Little Dopper really focusing on that new and improved Lulu pick that everyone seems to be picking up for the ultra speed on that Whimsy and the real utility in that late game, whereas Choo Choos just wants to assassinate people, whether he does that from a long way away or really close up, and his Zed is so impressive.
Yeah, and it shows in the kills and deaths here. Zed, I mean, these Assassins, and his KDA right now is 8 for 2 compared to a 4 for 2, and that's not necessarily Little Dopper not carrying his team as much. It's just a different style of play here. Yeah, and look at the assists.
That's the point that I was just about to make as well. The fact that he has 8.5 assists compared to that 5.8, it's because he's playing these utility characters. You know, shields from Orianna. You've got the massive Wild Growth ultimate, Whimsies, everything from Lulu. She has too many to count. And, of course, the Nidalee heals, which are massive as well. So definitely likes that more utilitarian helping out his team role, whereas Choo Choos just likes to kill the enemy.
Yeah, and we should comment here as well that Little Dopper is actually Keen's Smurf name. So that's what he was playing competitively when he qualified. So that's why he's called Little Dopper in the overlay. But during the round of 8, he'll be called Keen, which is his main account.
Yeah.
And
not to be confusing or anything like that.
Yeah, he played Keen on that account as well throughout the Go for LOL series earlier this year in January and, of course, December at the end of last year. And we saw some pretty incredible picks out of him. He played stuff like AP Corki in the middle lane. I believe we saw an AP Tristana as well. So Keen, as he'll be known through the round of 8, has really been around the block when it comes to the mid lane.
Definitely. A little bit more difficult to scout as well.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily know how many Smurfs he has and the amount of accounts that he does actually use. So that's going to be interesting to see. And seeing, those throwbacks to things like, Heaven's Curse's playstyle on that Corki as well. I mean, it's so exciting to see these players picking up everything that goes around the block. I mean, it's exciting to see, and I really like it. AP Tristana is one of my absolute favorite mid laners.
Just bopping around in the
Oh,
fight.
yeah.
But the thing is about
Mario
Keen,
style.
and both of these mid laners, I mean, Choo Choo's fits in this bag as well. They have a really good depth of champion pool here. They're rarely these kind of guys that are going to get banned out, and I think that's important for someone like Choo Choo's because he regularly draws Ziggs bans, as we saw, that was in his last played. Not sure if we're going to see any Zed bans because a lot of people haven't really been favoring that Zed pick lately, but we'll see if he draws some of those bans.
Well, Choo Choo's is so good on that Zed, I could imagine seeing that banned out. But
Okay.
I don't think Ziggs is going to see play at all because Little Dop are very, very good at that one as well, or Keen, depending on what we're going to be calling him. Keen is actually the option, but I just love Little Dop. I think it's a very, very cool name.
All right, so that's our event wrap-up and the day overview. So we're going to come back after a short break, guys. Don't go anywhere here for the Riot Autumn Regionals. All right, welcome back, guys. And of course, game one of the day will be Little Ray taking on Avant-Garde Ascension here. And we're going to be getting into the Champ Select really soon here. The guys have finally got into the lobby.
Yes, finally. We do actually have a sub situation. Carbon, unfortunately, not able to be here, but Juves is taking his place on the side of Avant-Garde Ascension. So everything is underway. We're finally into Champ Select, and we're going to be getting into this game one, and I'm so excited. All
right, let's do this. Let's take a look at this. Leona banned out straight away there by Little Wraith.
Yeah, and Leona, taken away from Erect Gymnast, he played that pretty much exclusively. He plays a lot of Leona. He's fantastic at that champion. They do not want to see it. They want to put him on something he's less comfortable on, and it makes sense, and especially considering the fact that there's that trifecta of supports. You've got Annie, Thresh, and Leona, and they're the ones that are played, and taking away that Leona means that you're pretty much pigeonholing him onto one of those other champions. If they can pick them away or perhaps even ban them out, we'll see whether he picks up something else, something a little bit less conventional.
Well, we'll see what Little Wraith do with these bans. Obviously, Avant-Garde Ascension, because they were a little bit late to the game, they are going to lose a couple bans here, and so that's why we see them not taking that first ban there. Next ban for Little Wraith, though, I would actually like to see an Alistar ban against Erect Gymnast. I mean, if they want to focus some support bans out there, then maybe they're going to have to do that. The big thing I see from here is you ban out the Leona, probably means you want to pick something like an Annie or a Thresh, but honestly, Alistar really counters that, and Mind Freak, or Avant-Garde Ascension as they're now known, are one of the only teams in Oceania that's really been playing that Alistar.
And Alistar's a lot of fun to see as well. Those flash pulverizers can really turn a team fight around, but probably not going to be the case. There's a lot of targeted bans. Because there's not as many bans actually in this game, it's going to be really important to get rid of those OP picks.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Little Wraith does have first pick. They can pick one champion away, but they're bound to leave something open that's going to be taken away. And we've got Ziggs here being the second ban, and that's something that we definitely mentioned. Both Choo-Choo's and Kian, or Little Dopper as he was seen previously. But they both play that champion with so much mastery, and the fact that they're taking it away from Choo-Choo is really, really important, I think.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what Kian's going to be lining up for in that middle lane. What do you reckon he's going to be playing today?
Well, it does depend. He does favor a lot of those really sort of meta picks. You know, your Orianas, your Lulus. I think Lulu's definitely going to be a massive contention this game because
I think so as well.
Oh man, Lulu's just a monster in that middle lane. And it looks to me like Little Wraith are looking to pick up potentially an Annie here for BHZ.
Okay.
And then throw Erect Gymnast into a little bit of a loop because he may not necessarily have the really strong... Oh, Elise was left open. And of course it was. Kassadin being the only ban allowed here by Avant-Garde. We are on 4.3, Kassadin not quite as strong, but still being considered worthy of a ban. And I haven't actually seen very much 4.3 play on that Kassadin. Don't know quite how much. He did have a few numbers nerfs.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm not sure whether that was very big. But seeing the Elise being picked up here for Chelby, I mean, that is a big deal. Was actually playing as Space Kitten earlier.
Yeah,
Little Wraith with a lot of name changes.
These guys have a lot of different name changes, and Kolo is Porky as well, so in case you didn't realize that one. If we look at Little Wraith as well, we talked about how they beat Immunity way back in November of last year. Since then, they only have 2 original members. Porky and Chelbster are the only original members on their lineup here, so it's something to take into account here. Let's take a look at what Avant are picking up, though. It looks like the Morgana.
Oh, I very much like that pickup. I don't know how much Erect Gymnast has actually been playing that Morgana pick, but that has been so successful, and we saw that the final game at ACL when it was taken on by the Optic Snipers. The final game of the first round, sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually the final game of ACL, but when Optic Snipers managed to qualify against Avant-Garde Redemption, they took away that combination of Ezreal and Morgana and really just powered it through from there. That Black Shield is so powerful in the bottom.
Yeah. And it's not something we're seeing Erect Gymnasts play too much. Obviously, when they qualified throughout CG, they had to play a long ladder series to get there as well. And they were more favoring the melee supports, the Leonas. Thresh, not quite melee, but, you know, close to. You want to jump and get into the fight.
Yes.
Not really the casters. So the Morgana's a little bit of an interesting one for him, but I think he's going to do fantastically here.
Yeah, well, he's been aiming a lot of Zenith Blades, you know, of course. He understands how to throw out a skill shot, but so I'm sure that Dark Binding is going to come fairly naturally, and he likes getting in amongst it. He loves getting into that fight. So the Soul Shackles, because he wants to get in there, he wants to do work, Erect Gymnast is sort of built around having this Morgana pickup. You know, those Soul Shackles needing to be right in the middle there, it's really going to suit his playstyle.
All right, so look at this. It looks like we've got that Gragas locked in there for Kian in that mid lane. He's got Chelby picking up that Caitlyn for AD carry as well there. Stars is AD carry here. He was actually the support for him when they qualified back in ACL. So Little Wraith have had lots of roster swaps here. It's really hard to keep track of.
Everyone playing everywhere, definitely. But Stars picking up that very comfortable Caitlyn pickup and something that you have a little bit of extra space to move around those Dark Binders that are going to be thrown at you in lane. So definitely it's a worthwhile decision. Pantheon being picked up here though, and it looks like a very, very aggressive team comp so far coming out from Avant-Garde Ascension. You've got that LeBlanc locked in. Choo-Choo's known for his Z play, an assassin. You put him then on something like LeBlanc, just obliteration character. I mean, you're going to be able to just dismantle someone from this map. They're not going to be there anymore. It's going to be a 4v5 situation. And if Choo-Choo's plays that LeBlanc to perfection, it's going to be really, really difficult. Against this Gragas as well, it's received a few nerfs there in that middle lane. Slight AP ratio nerf on his ultimate, on that explosive cask, and his body slam actually only has half the attack damage ratio that it used to. So in those early levels, it's going to be quite difficult.
And that's something to watch out for, because Kian is one of those players that loves to rush that level 2 to get that level 2 body slam and force an all-in where he can really come out ahead here. So we might not see that happen. We'll have to wait and see how those nerfs affect these players. Of course, 4.3 is the patch we're on currently. And look at that. They've locked in the Annie as well there on the side of Little Wraith. And into a Morgana, how is this one going to go?
Well, it's a little bit difficult because Annie does have a little bit more upfront burst, can actually do a little bit more damage through that Black Shield to get rid of it earlier. But she's only got one form of CC. She only has her passive stun. So it's going to be about Erect Gymnast making sure that he gets that Black Shield on at the right times when that stun's coming through, because otherwise Annie might be throwing out the fake outs, you know, throwing the Incinerate when it's not actually necessarily going to be a stun. And then if they manage to do that, Shelby and BHZ are going to be able to really go... Oh, Stars and BHZ, sorry. Are going to be able to really go to town on that bottom lane.
Alrighty, so let's take a look at here. The last pick for Avant Garde. What are they looking for? Hovering for a jungle pick here. Sorry, a top lane pick, I should say, because Pantheon will be that jungle. Olaf, this will be an interesting one.
Olaf is an interesting pickup. Against the Shyvana, I mean, we've seen a lot of matchups here. And Olaf being locked in here for the top lane, that is so interesting. Renekton was available. You've got Mundo that was available. Trundle was there. Everyone's been against this Shyvana in the top lane. Last time we saw actually a Rumble against Shyvana, which did quite well in lane, played by, who was it off the top of my head?
Jack
Attack. It was Jack Attack?
I don't think it matters right now because it's Minky
Well. Just massive players here. But Minky Well always brings out the interesting picks. Minky Well known for his Victor when he was playing in that mid lane. So, yeah, definitely been around the traps as our Minky Well. He played actually as a sub for Team Immunity as support during the ACL Sydney event last year. So definitely knows the competitive scene here in Oceania really, really well. Very competent on pretty much every champion, let's face it.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. I mean, both of these team lineups have had multiple roster swaps going into the regionals, and you kind of have to expect it here in Oceania. There's always lots of team swaps going into this stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how it affects it. As always, you know, Little Wraith just juggling their lineup as usual, but I gotta say, they did it right before ACL as well, where they managed to qualify, and it didn't really seem to hurt their performance, so
absolutely.
I would expect them to be fine here.
Yeah, and the other thing to look at as well is the fact that both of these teams are very pick-based. I mean, you've got that Olaf with the Undertow. I mean, you find someone in the jungle or something like that doing a rotation, you find someone on their own, you're going to be able to just Undertow them, permanently slow them. Of course, Pantheon with the stun. You've got the massive burst potential from LeBlanc as well, and on the hunt then for the disengage. You can use the Dark Bindings as well. If you're running around as a team, you find someone, get them in a Dark Binding. They're dead. They're just going to be dead. And the same on the other side. We've got the Cocoon for the same sort of thing. You've got Keen with the Explosive Cask in order to get everyone out of the way. Stars has the Ace in the hole to finish people off, and BHZ can get that AoE stun down and can utilize the fact that there is a stun there, sort of like you would with a Dark Binding, even though not necessarily with the same amount of range. So I very much like it. I would like to see what happens if we get into a massive team fight, though, because both of these teams have very sort of hit and run styles, and you've got On the Hunt here from Cardred as well, which is going to be really, really helpful in order to maneuver around these fights and get the positions that they really want.
And I think the biggest thing about that On the Hunt from Sivir is the fact that Minky Well has gone Flash here on Olaf as well. So without that Ghost, it's not a big deal for him because he's got On the Hunt instead. You'll usually see an Olaf pick up the Ghost over the Flash in pretty much every matchup, unless there's a Jarvan where obviously the ring can lock you and you want the Flash to get out of it. But of course, you've got the Sivir here, and so that's why Minky has made that choice, and I think it's great. Yeah,
I think it's really good. I mean, often you'll take the Flash if you see something like a Jarvan, you know, something that's going to really trap you in there, but wanting to go for that Flash in order to get to those big hits of that true damage there that Olaf is capable of, you can get in there and do that, but I'm not sure. There's also the fact that he's relying on his Undertow here to make sure that his enemy's permanently slowed. So you can flash for the long-range Undertow to get a pick, and that does fit their composition. So I do like it. It's a little bit unorthodox, a little bit different, but we'll see how Minky Well plays with it.
Yeah, and the thing you have to take into account here for Minky Well as well is that he's up against a Shyvana, so this top lane is just going to be a huge island for them. They're probably going to sit there for the first 10-15 minutes of the game without anyone really interacting. I mean, the one thing that might make me think otherwise is that Juves is on Pantheon. He's kind of the tower diving king, I guess. Yep. So we might see a level 3 gank from him if he starts at his own blue buff.
Yeah, very, very strong early on is Pantheon. A little bit stronger, maybe, than Elise, but Elise does get that Cocoon relatively early. So both of these junglers able to make an impact early on in this game, and we might see some action coming out in the sort of 4 to 6 minute mark, you know, in those exciting times, in those times that are normally a little bit more slow.
Yeah.
Waiting for that level 6, you know, when you see things like a Wukong or a Vi coming into that jungle, they're waiting for that level 6, for that Cyclone, for that Assault and Battery. In this case, Juves and Shelby are going to have their ganking tools very, very quickly. So hopefully we'll be able to see some action early on in this game. And otherwise, I think that especially in the top lane, it's going to be very volatile because Minky Well on that Olaf does have the sustain advantage, and you can also clear a wave. That Undertow is fantastic at clearing waves. So Shyvana can't just constantly shove and then get out of harm's way. They're going to be brawling and battling. And I think Minky Whale might actually have the edge here. Even though Shyvana is considered the more meta pick, I like Olaf in the top lane as well.
Yeah, Olaf's going to struggle really hard until he gets a couple of levels, but once he starts getting points into either his Q or his E, the Undertow or the Reckless Swing, depending on what he chooses, because obviously you can go for either, that's when he can really put the pressure on. I feel if he goes for the Undertow, he's going to be playing a more passive lane. If he goes for the Reckless Swing, he'll be trying to duel a little bit more because it's on quite a low cooldown, about 4 or 5 seconds. So
I think it depends on how he goes in the first few levels as well.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a bit fluid with his leveling path, just based on whether he needs to use that Undertow in order to farm from range. I mean, that's important. That's definitely important to note.
And yeah, it comes down to the jungle as well. I mean, if Juves is going to give him a level 3 gank there with red buff and blue buff, that's going to be a huge help to him. And if we look in a more broad sense to how the junglers were moving in day 1 of the round of 8, we didn't really see any junglers favoring an early gank in that top lane.
Everyone was playing very conservatively, especially in the early stages of the game. And
there was only one exception, though. It was Rippy, and when he was on that Udyr, which is also another champion who's fantastic at diving early, he was ganking that top lane a lot. So I might actually expect Juice to go for something like that here.
Yeah, well, hopefully he does, because last time we saw Pantheon here, he just wasn't aggressive enough. He wasn't, I think it was in the game against Immunity, Optic Snipers picked up that Pantheon and just didn't show the aggression early on that we really, really needed.
Alrighty, so almost into this game here for the game number 1 of this day 2 of the Autumn Regionals.
Yeah, of this Group A as well. And I mean, it'll be very interesting to find out who's facing who here. Is it Little Wraith that's going to be taking on Immunity in that top spot, or are they going to be going down to face Optic Snipers in the bottom position? I mean, we'll just have to see what the matchups are, and it'll really shape what kind of games we're going to be having next week.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, top 2 from each group move on, and that's really where you want to be. I mean, you're fighting in the round of 8 to get into the round of 4, because that means you go to Supernova on the Gold Coast, so that's going to be an amazing experience for these guys. It's pretty much what PAX was last year in terms of size of the event, but not quite. It's not going to take you to Gamescom, for instance, for the wildcard event.
Yeah, not straight away, but it definitely does help you on your way.
Here we go. Game number 1 starting up. Let's do it. Alright, we're on to the Rift now, and let's do this. Avant-Garde Ascension, taking on Little Wraith, and the 5-man defense.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a little bit more action here coming out of Little Wraith. They're all positioning around this bottom side. There could be some action here, Place. I know you really, really love getting a little bit of that early invade stuff happening, but
absolutely.
Avant-Garde doing that classic defensive stance, and I don't think we're going to see too much action here. Little Wraith actually positioning for some sort of counter-invade positioning. Which is very interesting.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, Little Wraith is one of the only teams that really try and pull off something in the early game here. We saw Your Soul Chuffer try it in day 1 as well, but they didn't really find anything from it. But I mean, the level 1s, just as a result of the meta, are always a bit slow. Interesting here, though, we actually have a ward start for Minky Whale.
Yeah, ward start with that the Crystalline Flask as well, and I think that's a very smart decision. One thing I was going to mention about that Olaf is the fact that he is very mana reliant. If you want to keep spamming out those Undertows, you need to have the mana to be able to do it. So having that Crystalline Flask going to help him with his sustain a little bit. I think the very interesting pickup here is based on the 4.3 patch, and that's going to be the Spell Thief's Edge, which has been buffed an incredible amount. Actually gives you a more passive gold than the coin did. So going to be very aggressive here in the bottom lane is BHZ, and that Spell Thief's Edge is, as it upgrades, it's definitely going to be a very large boon as far as the money's concerned as well. We'll see what BHZ does decide to do with it once he's got a few of those gold monies in his pocket.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing to look out for. And pretty simple start here from both of these jungles, just starting their blue. Keen already being aggressive onto Choo Choo's and vice versa. Choo Choo's is going to be interesting to see how he plays this one. Actually, a body slam start by Keen, and look at that punishment with those auto attack. Wow, passive already popped onto Choo Choo's. Oh, he's going in for it. First blood. One more ignite tick will get it, but no. First blood goes to Choo Choo's, but it's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, Keen getting a little bit too keen in that middle lane. Does get the ignite body slam off, but takes too many turret hits, and the first blood actually going over to Choo Choo's, so he's going to take that one. He's going to be fine with that. Ward being picked up here by Kian, but an extra Doran's Ring on the side of Choo Choo. So that's a massively big deal here in the middle lane. Getting a LeBlanc a little bit further ahead early on against this Gragas is going to make that lane very difficult for Kian. So we'll see how he plays from this point on, because that was very aggressive.
Yeah, kind of didn't expect that one, especially because the body slam received a nerf into this patch as well.
Yeah, we were sort of trying to play that one out, especially it's now scales, and it starts at about 3.3, coming down from 6.6, so it's a lot weaker now, but I think Kian's actually started with a fair bit of AD here, because those auto attacks were doing a lot of damage as well.
Well, love to see how this one transitions in. Only 3 minutes in, and that's one of the quickest first bloods we've seen throughout this entire regional so far. Only day 2, though, so it's not much to go off.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You don't see very many level 1 all-ins 1v1 in lane, though. This is some very, very aggressive playstyle, and Kian and Choo-Choo's, I mean, they're going to be the ones to do it.
So take a look at this bottom lane now as well. Stars and BHZ. Stars was a support for Little Wraith over the past couple of weeks, so making that transition's kind of important to watch here. How are they going in this bottom lane?
Yeah, well, as a Caitlyn generally does, they're shoving up really hard, and Kardrid just does not have the range in order to deal with this Caitlyn harass that's coming in. I mean, if a Rec Gymnast does land a nice Dark Binding, I mean, you might be able to get a Boomerang Blade coming across to be able to get some follow-up damage, but BHZ is not really going to let that happen. He's going to always be trying to body block. And
whoa, here we go in the
flash.
top lane. Juve's going straight into there. Not going to be able to find the kill, though. Nice flash by Colo.
Yeah, Colo, ex-Porky, has actually flashed already, though, so we might be able to see Juves coming around and trying to get another gank here, but we've got Chelby waiting in the wings in this top lane for the counter.
Well, there he goes, going straight into this one. Gets stunned up. Nice repel to get out of that. Actually dodges that stun nonetheless. Good damage, though, from Juves.
Yeah, Juves pulling out that Heartseeker Strike and doing a fair bit of damage with it as well, and Little Wraith, meanwhile, throwing down a lot of harass in this bottom lane as well, really stamping out their dominance. That being said, Kardrid keeping his cool, just farming it out, only 4 creeps down.
Yeah, and that's not going to be a big deal for him at all. I mean, Caitlyn always winning out that early game, and actually there was a kill there.
Minky Whale dived very excitedly there in the top lane, and I assume trying to get the 1-for-1 trade. I would guarantee that Minky Whale was not thinking that he'd survive there. Unfortunately for him, though, Colo did make it out of there. Does go back, picks up a chain vest as well, so not too bad for him. Minky Whale had the creep advantage. I don't know why he got that aggressive. It was a little bit too overexcited, I think.
Well, we saw Minky Whale hit the level 3 first, and we saw how aggressive he was off the back of that, and that's why I think he called Juves up there to begin with, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that one transitions off. It's only 2-1 here, and not much of a gold lead either off that extra kill.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like his aggressive playstyle. He just, that wasn't necessarily the most intelligent decision to make up there. That being said, BHZ and Stars taking a little bit of harassment here from the bouncing
ricochet.
Of the ricochet. I got a little bit confused. But yeah, so that bottom lane being called back a little bit, but 29-37, Kardrid's really having a difficult time against Stars.
Well, I mean, I feel he's going to be all right here. I mean, Stars using that extra pressure in the early game. It's about 8 CS difference. Not really too much to write home about just yet. But look at this. Minky Whale, how the tides have turned for him. He's now getting pushed in by Colo. And Little Wraith starting up this dragon. They're going to get it as well.
Yeah, Rec Gymnast is there.
Oh, Chelby's going to go down. Gets killed by that Ignite despite. Oh, BHZ with the flash. Follow from a Rec Gymnast. Can he get the kill? Oh, the tick damage comes through. He's going to need a couple more auto attacks.
Oh,
Snare finds it. Double kill for a Rec Gymnast.
This is exactly what we're talking about. We knew that he'd be really, really comfortable in that champion. Managing to do exactly enough damage, gets the Dark Binding, makes sure it hits its mark as well. So 2 kills for a Dragon. Not too bad on the side of Avant-Garde, but the Dragon does go the way of Little Wraith, and that's what Little Wraith want. They are the masters of getting objectives. They don't care about kills. They're often behind in kills. They just want to pick up turrets. They want to pick up dragons, and they manage to do that. So they're still going to be feeling okay.
And look at this. Avant responding with his bottom lane tower.
Yeah, so Avant trying to get their little mark on this map, but that tower's at very, very high health. Stars was actually forced back, though, so they're going to be able to potentially take this, if not get a lot of damage onto it. There aren't that many creeps down there, though.
Yeah, and Minky Whale getting pressured quite hard in this top. Chelby's up there as well. Minky might actually get dived. Just pops that level 6, but it's not going to be enough. He pops that Ragnarok, but gets taken out.
Yeah, Ragnarok not going to save you from just raw damage, and really, really nice rotation there by Chelby. I mean, Minky Whale wanted to be able to stay to try and defend that turret, but Colo just such a monster on that Shyvana. All those extra defensive stats really allowing him to just get underneath that turret and not take enough damage in order to take him down. And that's a 2-0 Shyvana. That's going to be a very, very scary Dragon Lady come late game.
Keen's going to find Juves, though. Look at the damage he puts out. Has that level 6. Is he going to pop the explosive cast? Finds the kill. Kian picks himself up another kill.
Yeah, Kian with fairly unnecessary explosive cast. May not have necessarily had his barrel up quite quickly enough in order to secure that kill with just a little barrel, but definitely gets the style points for it.
So the thing I love here in this game is that both teams are really exploiting the roster swaps of each other. I mean, Stars and BHZ, new to the bottom lane here for Little Wraith, and Cardrid and Eric Gymnast really exposing that weakness with Juves down there. That's where they picked up their first tower. And likewise, Little Wraith pressuring that top lane. Look at this though, the chains land onto Kian. Look at that trade.
Yeah, Chuchu's really threading the needle on that chain. Nice work there. Minky coming back to lane. He does still have the creep advantage. Picked up a Doran's blade, wanting to stay in contention here. That Ruby Crystal now a little bit cheaper as well in this pack. Not quite giving you quite as much of that health, but that's absolutely okay. And yeah, going back to Chuchu's though, that guy's playing some amazing LeBlanc. I really want to see him get around this map. He might get this blue buff and potentially try and put some pressure on, because they really need to stop Little Wraith from doing exactly what they want and just being able to rotate around and take all of the objectives that they feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't let Little Wraith take this game because, I mean, game one, you need that momentum into game number 2 here to get out of this group stage. It's going to be pretty tough here. I mean, Avant, they were one of the last teams to qualify as well, 3rd last, so you've got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and it's going to come down really a lot to this top lane as well, because Minkwell and Colo, they're wanting to split push because they've got pick comps on both sides. Whoever has the strongest top laner, whoever can 1v1 pressure the other one out of there is going to have the advantage in that scenario, because they're going to have the map pressure on this. They're going to be able to push the turrets and really take it to the enemy team. And then while they're doing that, the rest of their team can position to get a pick. They can rotate around the map, take objectives when they're free, but also be able to stop the rotation when multiple people come up to try and deal with that threat that Colo's going to be.
So look at this, Chelby rotating down to the bottom lane. They're just going to push it out. Nice little trade in the top, but just really passing of blows right there. Bottom lane tower, though, that's where the action's at. Already taken to about half health.
Yeah, and this is where Little Wraith are focusing now. I would have liked to see perhaps Chelby going into that top lane and getting that tower actually down, but I think they may not have wanted Minkwell to be able to freeze that one out and become a monster Olaf. Olaf, of course, scaling pretty amazingly into that late game just because he can't be CC'd, so it's very, very difficult to stop that big tanky man from wreaking havoc in your backline.
Absolutely. So 4-3 here is the score. And I mean, it was a pretty quick opening here, but I feel like it's definitely slowed down. Juves as well as Chelby not really ganking as much as they were in the early game. And what do you reckon? What do you reckon about that?
Well, it's interesting because they managed to get their rotation down, then they managed to get the next round of their buffs, and I think it's now that they're really going to want to try and gank somewhere else as well. So I think we had a little bit of a lull. Dragon's also been taken. It's going to be up again in a minute and a half, and I think that's where there's going to be definitely some more aggression shown by these teams on this map, because, yeah, you are right. There is a little bit of a lull, but I think it's just purely based on the fact that they just wanted to find their bearings, and it's going to be more action now, place. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, and if we look at day one as well for a reference point here, the teams that picked up that first Dragon, almost 100% of the time picked up the second one as well here. So I would expect Little Wraith to be heading down there in a minute's time. And let's see how Avant-Garde respond to this one. Chelby's in the top lane now. Oh, and Pantheon's jumping in. It's going to be a 2v2 here. Colo already taking a lot of damage. They managed to take out that tower, and Colo going to jump out with the Dragon's Descent. Juice gets bursted so hard right there. Chelby's going to follow him, finds the kill and flashes away. Only a little bit of health left for him, though, and Minkwell looks like he's going to pick up the kill. He leaves it for Chuchu's, getting that assist gold.
Yeah, very nice mimic to distortion in order to finish off that kill, and that's what Chuchu's needs to do. He rotated amazingly well around the map, gets up to the top lane, picks up another kill. That's 2 kills now onto this Chuchu's, and he has his Chalice already. He's going to go for that Athene's build, wanting to opt for more of that cooldown reduction, try and be able to clear these waves and not run out of mana as well. So definitely a smart maneuver and definitely the meta decision at this point, but Kian is a little bit further ahead, and I think he just took advantage of the fact that Kian had actually gone back to base, so wasn't able to follow up for that kill as well. So nice play there, nice rotation by Avant-Garde in order to find a kill back in that scenario.
All right, so where does that leave us? 5 seconds on this Dragon. Avant-Garde look like they got this one in the bag. Juves is making his way over. Chelby rather, is clearing those race. Might want to head over to that Dragon, seeing it has spawned, but Colo is there as well, so Minky is going to be free to push this top lane.
Yeah, that's the thing. Minkwell is in the top lane, so Little Wraith are going to have a little bit of a man advantage here around Dragon, and Kian is hanging around to the side. Might take a bit of damage there by Chuchu's. Not going to be able to take the kill, though, and Chelby on that Elise is going to be able to do a lot of burst damage.
Whoa, flash from BHZ, lands a 2-man Tibbers right there, and Juves takes quite a bit of damage. It's not going to be enough follow-up for Little Wraith, though. But again, Little Wraith picking up that second Dragon of the game, and keeping towards that trend of, if you pick up that first Dragon, you'll get the second one as well.
Yeah, and that flash tip is actually just to secure it, make sure that there's no sneaky dives, sneaky steals going to happen on that Dragon. Little Wraith, they very, very much like taking objectives, so if they need to...
They're going to go for another.
Yeah, and if they need to use a flash and a Tibbers in order to secure it, they'll definitely do that. But this tower's going down relatively fast.
Look at that barrel damage there onto Kadrid. He needs to be careful. Doesn't have any mana either.
Whoa.
Oh, explosive cast. Push him into the side. Colo's going to jump in straight to a snare. That's not what he was looking for. And Choo Choo's going to get melted. Manages to get out the back. So does a Wreck Gymnast. Oh, and he tries to trade the bullet. Doesn't find what he was looking for.
Wreck Gymnast wanted to take the bullet for his friend, but then realized that he was definitely going to die as well, and then hesitated.
Nope.
And then let
Just
his mid
max
laner
out.
die as well. Unfortunately, I think a Wreck Gymnast probably would have preferred to die in that instance, but...
Well, he's actually got 2 kills.
Oh, well, look, he's the carry.
He is.
Yeah,
Half
Choo
his
Choo's
team's kills.
also does have 2 kills as well. So it was either...
Oh, yeah.
It was which one was going to be taking the fall there, but I think Wreck Gymnast probably had a little bit more money under his belt as far as the slight amount of extra kill streak is concerned. Maybe that's what he was thinking in that last moment just before he died.
Wreck Gym was probably also thinking, man, I wish I had the Crucible before that happened so he could have tried to heal his teammate, but it didn't quite work.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But 6-4 here. Slight lead growing on the side of Little Wraith, as they tend to do. 4 turrets now to 2, and Little Wraith just, as they always do, taking these objectives, making sure that they know exactly where on the map they want to be, and waiting for weaknesses here in the rotations by Avant-Garde. And it just shows the fact that they understand exactly what their playstyle is. It doesn't matter what champions they necessarily play, they just know that they want to be taking turrets as often as possible. They'll sacrifice kills in order to take turrets and dragons, and it's just really working out for them. And it's really good to see the fact that they've got this sort of theory, this way that they want to play the game, and they're playing it through really nicely.
Yeah, Little Wraith really forcing Avant-Garde to play to the way Little Wraith would like here, and that's what we're seeing. The rotations from Avant-Garde aren't what Avant-Garde want to be doing right here. They're always in response to Little Wraith, and that's huge props to Little Wraith really taking control of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Little Wraith going to be able to steal away this red buff as well, which is definitely a big deal. Star's going to be picking that one up. The AD carry, Caitlyn, going to be able to throw out a few of those slows with a little bit of that true damage dot as well. So definitely something that you're going to want to have to happen. And having 2 of those red buffs on your team as well, especially when you've got Pantheon, who really does like to have that red buff in order to follow up after his stun and keep them slowed. That's a really big deal. So they've just got complete ownership, and their map domination at this point with all of these turrets down is huge. And I really want to see Avant-Garde start grouping up together and start trying to take it to Little Wraith, because they can't let this continue. Otherwise, this game's just going to get out of their hands.
So we'll see what the case is here. 15 minutes is a pretty young game here for Little Wraith, and they've done a pretty good job of building this lead. 4,000 is the lead currently, and that's one of the bigger leads we've seen at this time mark.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily the gold lead that we need to be worrying about. Their vision advantage, the fact that they have so much control as well. Wow!
Star's going to take a lot of damage. Choo Choo's does as well, though. BHZ almost takes him out by himself, but Star's nice flash over the wall, gets himself out of that situation.
Yeah, everyone able to disengage, and that's what these team comps are actually very good at as well. Both of them able to disengage very effectively. On the hunt is an option there for that one, and of course the net as well. By Stars able to do that, but explosive cask
just to clear out the minions.
Yeah, just being used there in order to keep this pressure off the turret. Cannon and the general consensus of Little Wraith just definitely do not want to let their turrets go down. That's what they do. They take turrets. They don't let other people take those.
I don't think he's Kian enough yet to engage that fight.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, let's see. Colo in this top lane just pushing it in, and Choo Choo's actually the one to defend this split push. So. Don't know how effective that one's going to be. Choo Choo's probably going to need some help up there. Little Wraith now moving to this bottom lane as well, so really controlling the map right now.
Yeah, the Athene's Unholy Grail not going to give as much burst as necessarily something like a Death by Grasp we saw coming out of Reginald when he played LeBlanc, even though he didn't do quite as well over the weekend, unfortunately. Bjergsen's going home. But yeah, Choo Choo's opting for that build, so it doesn't have necessarily as much wave clear potential, so Colo's just able to push this, and there's nothing really that Choo Choo's can do. Those Merc Treads offering enough to stop any sort of damage from really being seen here coming out of Choo Choo onto that Shyvana.
Absolutely. And I mean, Minky Whale, he had a pretty rough lane phase, got ganked a lot. He's 0, 2, and 1 right here. Look at his build path as well, kind of going towards a couple different things here. The Spirit Visage or the Banshee's Veil, as well as probably a Randuin's.
Yeah, Randuin's or that Sunfire Cape could be the option as well. Colo opting for that one, of course. And they might want to just copy one another. I'm not entirely sure, but that Giant's Belt could be going for either of those two. I do like Randuin's though, as you say. Definitely a good position, just because he does have that flash instead of the Ghost. So doesn't necessarily have as much ability to stick on an enemy. But with the Randuin slow, it's going to be a lot easier for him. So we'll see what he decides to pick up. But definitely that Spectre's Cowl probably going to go for that Spirit Visage, even though it was nerfed a little bit. The fact that Olaf does have so much innate sustain, it is a good pickup for him just because it does augment that a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll see what he decides to do.
And let's take a look at BHZ as well. He's going full AP on this Annie. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Going for, of course, that Spell Thief's Edge originally does want to be harassing a lot in lane and does get a little bit more money from that as well. So needlessly large Rod being picked up, and that Tibbers is going to start really hurting. And that's why we saw Choo Choo's taking so much damage there in the middle lane.
Yeah, he almost got taken out just by the Annie burst.
Yeah, Little Wraith have the Dragon's number, as per usual. They're going to be taking the third one of the game here for them and just extending their lead out once more. Juice gets caught.
And he's in big trouble right there. Aegis going to block one of those auto attacks from Stars. Ace in the hole comes through. No, not going to be enough, and Stars gets caught up for it. Choo Choo's going to find the kill. No, it's Minky Whale who finishes off with a reckless swing. Choo Choo's goes down as well, and Little Wraith cleaning up this fight. It's a 1-for-2 so far in the favor of Little Wraith. Cardred and Direct Gymnast in a 2v1 situation right here. Keen picks it up, and look at that Cardred over the wall. Flashes out. It's a 3-for-3.
Yeah, 3-for-4 actually. AV losing 4 members of that team. Juves is about to come back up, but he did die eventually. Chelby managing to get over there with a flash and Q to finish off that kill, but Colo was a monster, just not able to do quite enough damage there, and not to be able to distract quite enough to save his carry. So nice play there by Avant-Garde, and Minky Whale was just able to get into that backline and do a lot of damage. That's really, really encouraging on the side of Avant-Garde. If they can teamfight and have Minky Whale that disruptive and that big in the backline, wow, that's going to be huge for them.
And that's a Minky Whale with a flash instead of a ghost right there as well. And you could see how quick he was through that fight, and it all comes down to Cardred's on the hunt. Brilliant combination of skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cardred managing to position himself so that he doesn't actually die in that fight as well, keeping his record clean there. So nice play by him and really nice positional play as well. Got a lot of damage from those Boomerang Blades in that position, in that area, just because there is a bit of a choke. And BH, taking a bit of cheeky damage from Baron. Very, very nice work directing this, starting that one off.
So, Colo back into this top lane. And as we said, it's going to be an island for a while, and they're going to keep at it. There have been some good rotations, though, from Colo. I feel he's really played well with his team, making sure he's down there for the big objectives, but then making sure he's in the top to pressure it when there's nothing else to take. Yeah,
absolutely. And the Randy one's looking to be gone for here by Minky Whale, as we were talking about, so really good to see. Another one being picked up by Colo, and Colo is getting it fairly ahead as far as the items are concerned. He's starting to become that massive beast. And opting to go mostly for this this armor, just to try and fend off the Pantheon and the Sivir and the Undertow damage that, of course, is physical coming out of Minky Whale and all the auto attacks that Olaf is going to be bringing to the table. Not too frightened about getting bursted down by Choo Choo's, because Choo Choo's is going to be focusing on the squishies and not necessarily going to be doing a lot of AoE damage. Oh, here's Grand Skyfall.
Coming straight in. Cardred comes from the side. BH, they're going to take a lot of damage. Does go down. Stars, the rest of his team as well, pushing onto Minky Whale. Can they find the kill? Nice explosive cast comes out, and Direct Gymnast is going to take a lot of damage. Does go down. This fight is all for Little Wraith. Ace on the hole finds the target. It's a double kill for Stars. Does he get the triple? He does. And this will be the Baron.
Yeah, the Baron now being taken. That was such a good fight by Little Wraith. Even though BHZ did get caught out, they were in that choke point, and Juves just got immediately annihilated after you Grand Skyfalled in. And getting all of those cocoons in the right lines, and Keen managing to get all of his barrels down. And in that little choke point, everyone's going to get hit by those. And he did so much damage in that fight, and Stars was just able to sit at the back, auto attack, and finish off all those kills. Really, really nice team fight there. And picking up the Baron as well. Little Wraith just playing to exactly the style that they want to, and now going to be able to put some pressure on this top turret.
And what an opening here for Game 1 of this best-of-3 series. They're going to pick up this top tower as well. Can Juve stop him, though? It's a 2v3 so far. The rest of Avant are following, but will they get there in time? Colo is so tanky, and look at the damage in return. Erect Gymnast had forced to use that Crucible to heal himself up. Almost went down to Stars, but now Stars is out of position. Forced to flash. Undertow whiffs. That's not good news for Minky Whale, but can Cardred find the damage? No. Only 2 members of Little Wraith in this situation, and they find the kill. What a snipe from Stars.
Really nice built over Peacemaker. It's not over yet, though.
Not over just yet. BHZ lands a nice stun onto Minky. Not going to find the kill just yet. Uses that Ignite. Ace in the hole. Nice spell shield from Cardred.
Yeah, Cardred utilizing that spell shield to stop that imminent death from coming through. Stars finishing
off
the turret, though.
There's a dragon flying in. Colo gets the Ignite. Will go down to that tower. A little bit overextended there, and Shelby looks to follow suit. But it's a 1-for-2 overall in that very extended engage.
Yeah, exactly. Colo does sacrifice himself for Choo Choo's. Does get the kill there with the Ignite in the end, though. And we've got Kian in the bottom lane pushing up on this bottom turret. And this inhibitor turret's going down so fast.
There it goes. BH said quite low here. Stars going to eat a snare. Not much to follow just yet. Cardred Going to try and put the damage down. Misses. But in this bottom lane, how did King go in that tower and take it to about half health? So with that engage, they get a tower and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. And Little Wraith are just everywhere on this map right now. And Avant-Garde, they're so compressed into their base, and they can't rotate around quick enough in order to stop all of this pressure that's coming on as well. And look, we're just seeing Little Wraith just going around the map, taking everything from the enemy jungle, and they're probably going to go back. They didn't back after that Baron, so they're going to finish up their items, and they're going to probably try and push this one for the win, possibly in that top lane where there's no turret. And it's just been incredible play here by Little Wraith, just starting off with little victories, not necessarily in kills at the beginning of the game, but now they're just considerably winning these team fights and just outshining Avant-Garde in their rotations around the map.
Absolutely. So 17-9 is the score. Such a landslide lead here for Little Wraith so far in this game.
14,000 gold.
That's huge for the 23-minute mark. I don't know if Avant are going to be able to turn this one around. We've seen some pretty major comebacks, both in the qualifier series and the round of 8, but I don't know, man. This one's looking tough.
It is definitely going to be very difficult, and Avant-Garde need to have in the back of the mind that they need to not let this one get into their heads. They need to think that next game is a completely fresh slate. Don't think about this necessarily. Think about what they did wrong, but don't dwell on it and don't feel bad about yourself for it, because these things happen and we see it every single day. You know, teams just do that. Oh, Wreck Gymnast gets caught up.
Yeah, going to take a lot of damage here. Just a 1v1. Chelby needs to not overcommit too much. You can see he's got red in his eyes. He wants to fight this, but will back out. It's going to be a top lane siege here for Little Wraith. They want the inhibitor.
Absolutely, and Colo is split pushing in this bottom lane as well, trying to get a little bit of extra damage down onto that already slightly weakened turret. Ooh, Red Skyfall coming in.
This is how they engaged it last time. Will it go any better this time? Stars going to take a lot of damage in this engage already, trying to kite Minky well. Nice barrier, and they do find the kill onto Minky. It's all go here for Little Wraith. They want to fight out this fight. Nice explosive pass there, and Kian is so keen to win this game. Choo Choo's on the run now as well. Nice flash using the clone as a little distraction. He will go down though, and it's a triple kill for Kian.
Yeah, Kian picking up that triple kill and also the ace for his team. And this is going to be Little Wraith being able to finish off these Nexus turrets. What an incredible team fight though. Such immaculate play there. And Stars was just kiting forever. And it got to the point where Juves came in and he's just not very tanky. He just got obliterated. And then Minky-Well got kited around. Even though he had that Ragnarok, it was just really nice play from Stars and managing to use that net to escape and keep himself out of harm's way, and so much damage coming down from BHZ. Oh,
look at that. Kian picks up another kill, going for that KDA. Nexus only at half health, and Little Wraith just looking for the kills. A double kill there for Kian, just picking him up. Minky-Well doing his best as well. Colo might go down. Nexus will fall, and that is game one going over to Little Wraith.
Yeah, and BHZ actually survived that as well with about 2 health towards the end of that fight, but what a masterclass there by Little Wraith. They just rotated around the map, took exactly what they wanted, and Avant-Garde really need to just think about winning their lanes and getting the right rotations around as well, because they were doing well in the laning phase, but they didn't necessarily pressure it through nearly enough. So we'll see whether they can think about that and come back in game 2.
And you've got to remember as well, there were less bans here going into this one for Avant.
Yeah, that's true.
That really hurt him because they let not only the Shyvana, the Elise, and the Gragas through, but also Annie. I mean, 4 champions here.
They could have picked them up. Annie was last picked there by Little Wraith.
That's true. But I mean, 4 of these picks were probably top priority bans there for Avant. So game number 2 will be coming up soon here, and we'll see if Avant can turn it around or if Little Wraith will take it in a straight 2 wins for the best of 3 series.
Absolutely.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, beautiful.
We still on for dinner?
Pepper, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, right?
How about 8:30 at the vegan place?
Actually, I'm in the mood for barbecue.
Sounds good.
Take a call and stay in the game. With the Plantronics rig, headset, and mixer, life comes to games like never before.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Right Autumn Regionals here, the round of 8, and we're back into game number 2 here for Little Wraith taking on Avant-Garde Ascension, and what a game 1 from Little Wraith.
Yeah, Little Wraith just showed exactly how to rotate around the map, take the kills that you need, but not necessarily following them through if that means not getting the objective. And they just got everything that they needed, took every dragon of the game, and had the timers down pat. They were always ready to fight for that when it came through, and really, really nice play there by Little Wraith. They're exactly where they needed to be that game.
And you can expect nothing less from them. I mean, even though they have 3 new players, basically, compared to the El Clasico lineup that they used to have, it's still how they always play. They used to play a pick, poke, engage comp pretty much every single time we saw them in competitive play here, and they've pulled off something similar here in game number 1. They're still that objective-focused team, and it really just comes down to the fundamentals of what Little Wraith is all about. So
yeah, absolutely.
It was great to see that in game 1. I'm interested to see what they bring out for game number 2. Champ Select will be coming soon, but let's take a look at Avant-Garde Ascension. You know, what went wrong in game number 1? What are they looking to turn around here?
Well, I think that they definitely need to put as much pressure that they can on their lanes, and it's looking at Juves here. I know he's the sub coming in. Carbon couldn't actually make it, but he's really got to really make an impact here.
All right, and take a look at this jungle matchup as well. Space Kitten, which is Chelby, of course. These guys changing their names all the time.
Well, Carbon actually isn't here, and this is exactly what we were just talking about. The fact that he's not necessarily as comfortable. It does look very nice on the KDA, though, to be perfectly honest. The numbers are quite up there, but that's because Space Kitten, a.k.a. Chelby, has played a lot, and it's sort of come down there. He gets a lot of assists per game, though. He always comes in, always makes sure that he does work for his team. And even if he has to sacrifice himself, that's A-OK in his book.
And that's something we see Chelby do all the time. I mean, if he picks up Lee Sin in one of these games, which he might, it's one of his favorite champions, we will be seeing some crazy engages from him. But, you know, as we said, I mean, the lineups that we've pre-made for these events don't even hold relevant because it changes so quickly. It's kind of funny,
that's true, but
here we go.
Considering how Little Wraith are playing at the moment, I mean, I'm really glad to see them sticking with this roster if they do, because they've been so strong.
Absolutely. And it's not the same one they qualified with either, so definitely looking for the absolute best shot into the regionals. But we are into the Champ Select, so let's take a look at this one.
Yeah, absolutely. No one being banned out just yet. Going to have a few of those lightning bolts, but the bans that are coming through that I expect, I don't think Ziggs is going to come out again. I think that's going to be banned away as well. Lee Sin actually being banned out on the side of Avant-Garde. They're not going to want to see Chelby on that champion, even though he can be a little bit overly aggressive on that one. Ziggs being the first ban, of course, here as well. So not something that we were going to be surprised about. I can't see Leona coming into this one as well. Erect Gymnast, fantastic on that champion. But there are a few other bans that I would think would be potentially coming through. That Annie, BHZ showed amazing skills on Annie as well, so that could be something to come through as well.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm expecting an Italy ban here next for Little Wraith against Choo Choos. We'll see if they decide to ban that one out.
And Little Dopper actually ignored the Lulu last game, but it's now been banned out in case he wants to pick it up here. Or Kian, sorry. The last time I saw him play a Lulu, he was playing as Little Dopper, so Kian. Not going to be able to play that Lulu, so he was very, very good, but we're not going to see that on this time. Elise being banned away, which is fantastic.
Did you know? We haven't actually seen that Lulu pick in the mid lane yet in the regionals, so it's always been in the support.
Yeah, and in the qualifier, we were just seeing Lulus all over the place.
Yeah, I think it had 100% pick ban rate as well, so it definitely was up there. At least gets banned out, though, by Little Wraith. They don't want to be taking it this time.
Absolutely, and also, Avant-Garde have first pick as well, and
that's true.
Elise is just so first pickable, so versatile, and it doesn't matter what comp that you're running, you can have an Elise there. It doesn't matter. Just, we'll put an Elise in. It's absolutely fine.
Okay.
And Caston being the last ban as well, so still not wanting to see that one. Caitlyn being taken away from Stars, so wanting to see Stars on a different champion, just maybe shake him up a little bit.
Yeah, and I like this. I mean, we talked about it in the first match, how the bottom lane for Avant were really pressuring the newer bottom lane for Little Wraith, because obviously Stars was a support, so he obviously he's a really good player. He's challenger, no problems at all, but when it comes to the synergy with his own support BHZ, it's not going to be as strong as the Avant Ascension bottom lane. So I feel banning out that Caitlyn against Stars is a really good choice here. It's going to force him to maybe test his own champion pool. see what he can bring out. And they're going to pick the Sivir as well. I like it.
Yeah, the Sivir pickup here is pretty standard. Ooh, Morgana being locked in as well. So Erect Gymnast really enjoying that one. And you can imagine, due to that double kill at that dragon after that one, very, very nice play. Yasuo being hovered over here as well by Colo. And Yasuo didn't get a look in last game. We'll see whether he does decide to go with that one. And Vi being left unattended as well. So that's definitely another option. And not having Elise, having a Vi for that guaranteed just amazing CC in a team fight is just fantastic, and it's something the Little Wraith really like to do. They don't like messing around with the siege. They like to fight and then kill a turret or a dragon or a Baron or anything like that. They want to force these fights, but not going to happen. He's just going to cycle around, and we've got Riven and Yasuo being hovered over, and that's terrifying because Riven does well against Yasuo, but if you pick Riven and Yasuo, you're not going to be able to have that champion in order to give him a little bit of trouble in that middle of top lane.
Well, I think it will be the Vi lock in here. I mean, Chelby really rotates through 3 major champions when we see him play competitively. It's always the Vi, the Lee Sin, or that Elise, and it's going to be that Vi. I love that lock in there, and it just combos so nicely with the Yasuo.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The Vi Yasuo combo with that Assault and Battery in the last breath, I mean, it's disgusting to watch. And if we're going to see Kian playing that Yasuo in that middle lane, as he can definitely do, mostly because Kian's champion pool is gigantic, that's going to be so hard to deal with once Vi does hit that level 6. So we'll see what Choo-Choo's decides to go with in order to try and stop that from happening. And having Morgana on Erect Gymnast in these team fights, the Assault and Battery isn't going to do that knock-up if he does manage to get that on. And that is a really, really big point to make. And Erect Gymnast is really going to have a lot of pressure on him in these later game team fights in order to get that Black Shield right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that we expect Erect Gymnast to be able to do well here. I mean, I would expect nothing less from him, but we'll see with the next pickups here. Kha'Zix has been nerfed into patch 4.3. Still a very strong pickup, and my reasoning behind it is that the nerf was onto his Q, his evolved Q, reduced the extra damage you get, and the thing is about a jungle Kha'Zix here is they're starting to evolve the E, that leap, first, just for that mobility, so that nerf not really affecting you in the early game, and late game, Kha'Zix is going to do damage anyway, so I still love this pickup.
Yeah, and Stars hovering over that Lucian earlier, and we did see him play that Lucian. He is comfortable on that champion as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if he picks that one up. Vayne being the hover now may not say that that's exactly going to be locked in. Going back to the Kha'Zix though, going back to the things that have been locked in here, the Sivir and Morgana bot lane has been locked in once more here by Avantgarde. And they're comfortable with that one. They did fairly well in the beginning of the game, and without that Caitlyn as well, to have the range advantage against them, that's going to be a really big deal here. And oh wow, it gets locked in. So the Vayne Thresh against the Morgana Sivir in this bottom lane, that's going to be so interesting. 2 really short range AD carries, but Sivir has a lot more damage output early on and is going to definitely be able to put a lot of pressure onto Stars. Stars is going to have to be very, very careful, and that lane is going to be hard for Little Wraith in the early stages, and look to see Chelby coming down early, even without that Assault and Battery in order to help them out.
So last time we saw this Vayne lock in, we actually rarely see it, but it was recent the last time we did. It was at the Challenger Qualifiers played by none other than Avant's sister team, Avantgarde Redemption, not
exactly.
Ascension.
Smiley Face doing amazing work on
that.
Yeah,
and they picked up that into a Ezreal. So picking up the Vayne here into the Sivir is going to be a bit interesting. The tumble gets you out of that boomerang pretty easily there. You can't really condemn because there's going to be a spell shield, although you have a Thresh. So you got to choose out of 3 things to spell shield, you know, condemn, the flesh, or the death sentence. So it's going to be a lot of stuff to really juggle here for the Sivir, but this is going to be an interesting one to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and Minkwell locking in that Shyvana this time as well. Doesn't want Colo to be able to play that against him. We'll see what BHZ picks up, whether they're going to put that Yasuo potentially in the top lane. I mean, we've seen the Shyvana-Yasuo matchup go before, and Yasuo does okay against the Shyvana in the early stages before she gets too much of that armor, and of course, after that last breath is used, doesn't really matter how much armor he has, and the Orianna being locked in here for Keen, and of course Keen playing a lot of that Orianna. We did see that in his last changes, but Colo, aka Porky, is going to be playing that Yasuo in the top lane. That is really, really exciting.
I'm not too sure how he's going to go up there, though. It's against a Shyvana.
I don't know.
Minky Whale's Shyvana has got to be strong right here. I mean, he did all right on the Olaf in the last matchup. This one's going to be an interesting one.
And is this going to be Colo actually disrespecting Minky Whale's ability to top lane a little bit here? I mean, Minky Whale is known as a support player and a mid laner. Originally played mid lane all the time for everything. He was known for his Victor play, of course, as I've mentioned before. But we did see in the NALCS that Yasuo going up against the Shyvana and doing quite well. So we'll see whether that comes off, and man, I'm just excited to see how it goes because there's a lot of interesting matchups on this map and a lot of very volatile matchups. And we didn't even mention the fact that Wukong's been picked up here by Juves, and Juves needs to be making an impact early on, and Wukong can definitely do that. He offers so much damage, and that Cyclone after level 6, we often see this when we see the Vi pick up. The Wukong feels a little bit better because you're not going to have Vi doing the really impactful ganks early on, so you can afford to sit in your jungle a little bit as Wukong and get to that Cyclone and get to those really impactful ganks.
Absolutely, and I just love the Wukong pickup. It's just so interesting. I mean, there was a stage when Wukong jungle was just like a, what are you doing, man? Why are you trolling me? But it's really become super strong here and really been shown by I Will Dominate to the world just how good it is here. So I love Juves locking this one in. Against Chelby's Vi, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of juke it out through their jungle paths early on. What are we expecting from them, though?
Well, that's the thing. And the other thing that we were expecting as well was the fact that this Kha'Zix was potentially going to be going into the jungle. So Kha'Zix now on Choo Choo's in the mid lane, which I feel was a little bit of Little Wraith playing some mind games here, expecting to see that Yasuo in mid, picking up the Kha'Zix and being like, yes, we're going to have this good matchup here, because Kha'Zix does decently against Yasuo because he likes getting in his face anyway, so Yasuo closing that distance isn't as much of a big deal. But now he's against an Orianna, and Orianna has those shields, has the massive harass advantage, especially early on. So it's going to be really hard for Choo Choo's to really make an impact, especially up until level 6, because it's just going to be so hard for him to stay in that lane.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one. And of course, in that bottom lane as well, we talked about how Kardred's going to have that spell shield, which is going to be hard for him to choose what he wants to shield against the Thresh and a Vayne. But we kind of ignore the fact that Erect Gymnast is on that Morgana, has that black shield, so it's a pretty untouchable bot lane when it comes to all-ins.
And if you also think about the team fight as well, with that black shield, you can put that on your Kha'Zix, and then Kha'Zix can't get locked down by the amount of CC on the side of Little Wraith here. But the late game for Little Wraith is ridiculous. Orianna dominates in the late game. Vayne, famous for Vayne's late game. And Yasuo as well is unbelievable once he gets that Infinity Edge and the, of course, Static Shiv combination for that 100% crit if he does have a couple of percent in his rune. So, wow, if Avant-Garde don't make a massive impact early on, Little Wraith are just going to have the advantage based on team comp alone, I think, if they manage to get a few items under their belt. It's going to be very, very hard and very interesting to see what actually happens in this game, because there's a lot of pressure on AV right now.
Yeah, and just looking at a smaller level here, I guess, just at one player, Stars on that Vayne. The thing I love about the Vayne pick here is that it's against an assassin team comp. You've got Wukong jumping at you, Minky Whale on that Shyvana. It's all assassins, just guys jumping at you, trying to take you out. Choo Choo's as well on that Kha'Zix. And so it kind of turns the team fight into a whole bunch of these little 1v1s where Vayne just excels and will destroy them one by one. Vayne will struggle and has historically against the wombo combos, when you get hit by an explosive
lots of AoE,
and a lot of stuff that's going to stun you and stop you from doing things here. And so the Vayne pickup makes a lot more sense when you look at it this way. The fact that she's going to be able to juke, outplay, and just take out all of the lineup here for Avant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's also the possibility for the Submarine Vayne ball gank as well.
That's true.
You think about that one, the alt tumble.
Don't think we're going to see that.
Don't think we're going to see
it's
that
like
happen.
2 seconds of stealth and then you get blown up.
I just want to see Twitch again, man. The Twitch submarine ball carrier.
What about Shaco?
So fun. Yeah, Shaco could work. But
surprise. He's a ball.
Unfortunately, Essie isn't playing in this particular tournament.
No.
The old jungler there for
Envy.
BLG.
Envy.
Oh, Envy as well. But he played for a lot of different teams.
These guys have all played in a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I mean, Minky Whale was once a sub for Immunity.
Yeah, exactly right. So everyone sort of played with everyone here. Everyone knows each other, knows their techniques and their weaknesses, perhaps.
Juves was on Optic Snipers for a bit back when they were on CG.
That's true. There's just a lot of people that are going to be everywhere. And it means that we see a lot of sort of counterplay and sort of overthinking and making sure that, and as we saw this game as well with Choo Choo's locking in that Kha'Zix, expecting Kian to be playing that one.
Yeah.
And just going to be picking up his Orianna that he's super comfortable with, happy to play it against the Kha'Zix, and they're going to have Colo on that Yasuo in the top lane, which is going to be really, really scary. And it'll be definitely up to Minky Whale in order to keep him down, because as soon as Yasuo gets rolling, wow, he's so hard to stop. Yeah,
and you kind of mentioned it was maybe a bit of a disrespect to Minky Whale in that top lane.
Maybe a little bit.
The last time we saw something similar was SYF versus Eviscerate in the Cybergamer Finals, which was also a qualifier here. And that's where Eviscerate managed to qualify. And the same situation was a top lane Yasuo against Mr. Baneblade, who was playing top lane for Eviscerate at the time.
Yes. Playing as Renekton,
for those, and for those who know, I mean, he's a shoutcaster. He's not actually a player, but he's their manager as well. So he was subbing on the day because Smile Squiggles, rather, their top laner, wasn't there. So it was a bit of a stomp. He was playing Renekton, and the Yasuo just shut him down. And
Yeah.
we'll see if it's going to happen this way. I mean, Minky Whale, when it just comes to the fundamentals, is a very strong player. Challenger.
Absolutely.
Played pretty much every role there is in some competitive fashion here. So I think he's going to be all right. And
Oh, absolutely. He knows the ins
Yeah.
and outs of these champions, definitely. So the fact that he's been playing so long and he's a veteran player, I mean, it depends because Yasuo has so much outplay ability. So if Collar's
There we
really
go, though.
strong, then yeah.
into game number 2. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. Back onto the Rift here for game number 2. And it's Avant taking on Little Wraith.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not going to see the little posturing here in the jungle.
Yeah,
We're gonna
no
see
shenanigans.
See the defensive starts, which is intelligent definitely on both sides, and Little Wraith especially because they're not as strong perhaps in the early game, and the death sentence is available. But I mean, that's about it, and Vayne just offers nothing early.
So, how are we going to tackle this one? We see it all the time. I feel we should try and work towards some solution. I like to think of the map as like a minesweeper game, you know?
Yep.
You start out, you can't move and click the wrong square else you get spotted. So how do you navigate through this 5-man defense to potentially pull something off?
I just don't think that there's any option here because they're all waiting at exactly the right areas in order to maximize vision at every choke point, every entrance point. I mean, I think the closest thing that you've got is your idea of flashing over that Baron wall. But
Okay.
I don't think that that'd necessarily work out for anyone involved. The Ruby Crystal now having a slight change to its price has decidedly been the pickup of choice this game, especially for our supports. BHZ and Erect Gymnast picking that one up. So interesting. They're not opting to go for that Doran Shield, which does have a little bit of regen. Has been nerfed this patch, so not quite as much as it used to have, but is still a strong item. It's just nice to see items being built towards things like Sightstones earlier on, not necessarily needing to go for those Doran's items.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk about that Ruby Crystal as well, you know, whether it would be better to get that Ruby Crystal or the Doran Shield. And I mean, we've seen a bit of both so far on this patch. Of course, this is the first 4.3 patch game for the Autumn Regionals, but we've seen it in other areas. So it's cool to follow. It's cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how it develops as things go on because it all is a bit trend-based and, you know, someone doesn't want to be the non-cool guy on the block with the new ideas, of course. Or with Gymnast landing it, though.
Yeah, BHZ going to take a bunch of poke there. Stars does as well. Nice flay. Not really achieving much, but still a nice flay.
Yeah, and Stars has more health now than Kadra does. He's going to be feeling a little bit happy about that as well and getting a nice bit of harass damage down here as well.
Yeah. So I'm interested in Choo-Choo's here in the mid lane. Obviously, Choo-Choo's has to do well. That's what I feel.
It's going to be so hard for him, though, especially in this matchup against Orianna. Nice sidestep by BHZ in the meantime. But yeah, he's going to be zoned out really, really hard. And it depends how Keen decides to play this, whether he wants to keep shoving really hard and force Choo-Choo's to farm under that tower. His Q is very, very handy for that, though. So he might want to just last hit and then harass Choo-Choo's as much as possible.
And what kind of build path are we expecting here for Choo-Choo's as well?
Choo-Choo's probably going to want to go for that general armor penetration build that you see most Kha'Zixes get after that Ravenous Hydra. He does want to maximize the amount that he can clear a wave, and that Ravenous Hydra does add an auto attack reset as well. So as he's jumping around these fights, he can reset his auto attacks and get that little bit of extra burst damage down really, really quickly. So managing to maximize the amount of resets that he does get and is capable of.
All right, so here we go. Mid lane, Juice looking for a gank. Has that level 3, so he does have the decoy stealth. Going to go in, has red buff. Keen going to take a lot of damage there. Jumps straight back. Oh, flash from Choo-Choo's going very aggressive there. Little bit of a waste there. Chelby does come around.
Yeah, Chelby comes around. Both flashes down in the mid lane as well. Choo-Choo's maybe a little bit over-aggressive. Oh, Juice going down.
Whoa. They were going for that dive, but Kian not quite close enough. Kian also went for Ignite here.
Yeah, Ignite on that Orianna as well, and that's interesting. Normally opting to go for more of a barrier type pickup here, but often we see Orianna's matched up against Ziggs. That just happens more often than not, and you're not going to necessarily... Oh, the knock-up coming through onto Minky Well there
Nice
in the top
trade.
lane. Very much enjoy watching the Yasuo work.
Killed that minion. That's good.
Oh, absolutely. Got to kill those minions. That's the whole point of this game.
Well, you know, top lane we kind of expect to be a little bit more aggressive here, seeing we have a Yasuo, but honestly, that island meta is just so strong right now, it's hard to break.
Yeah, absolutely. Minky Well is going to try and get to this these armor items as quickly as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back and picks up a chain vest roundabout now if he can afford it, because he really needs to be stacking up that armor as much as possible, as quickly as possible, because Vi and Yasuo coming into your lane, that's so much damage. The chain vest does come out now. And he also wants health, of course, because the armor penetration coming out from Yasuo is also a really big deal to think about.
All right, so jungle's going to find each other here. Chelby takes a little bit of damage here from Juice. He's on the run. Here comes Choo-Choo's. Can they find a kill, though? Nice dissonance. The follow-up's there, and Chelby goes down.
That is such a big deal. First Blood going over to Choo-Choo's as well on this Kha'Zix that's in a really difficult lane. Now he's only down about 6 CS as well, just because of that that fight that happened in mid lane. And Kian going down fairly low, so Choo-Choo's getting exactly the start that he needs in what was going to be a very difficult situation. Looking good for Avantgarde.
And yeah, Choo-Choo's, he wants to bring that pain train. I don't think he's happy with his performance from game number 1 either. Of course, he had a couple of champions banned against him, and this time around, he's on one of his comfort picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in this bottom lane, Stars and BHZ are actually doing a lot better than I was expecting. Only down about 10 CS at this point with a large wave coming towards them. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
lots of damage coming through there. The Lantern being very nice in order to clear that one up. And Stars just going to try and farm it out under this tower. But as I was saying that they were doing okay, they take a lot of damage in that bottom lane.
And the thing is, Stars is already really falling behind in this CS, and that's kind of what you have to expect. You pick that Vayne, you got to know that you're going to struggle in that early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would have liked to have seen Chelby coming down a little bit earlier, but nice warding here by Avantgarde. They're going to be able to spot him out coming in.
Another snare does land. Stars takes a lot of damage. Ignite. Oh, look at the barrier. There's not much health, and he will go down. Kardrid taken low as well. Nice flash right into the bush, but there's a ward, and BHZ takes him out. BHZ now on the run. Not much mana for a Reg Gymnast, and BHZ will get out.
Yeah, both supports picking up kills there in that bottom lane, and the Ignite just trumping the barrier. Their barrier not lasting for quite long enough. Chelby down in this bottom lane, though. Nope. Oh, yep, that's exactly what Reg Gymnast said.
Yep,
as
he turns around and taunts.
Oh, Colo in the top lane, though.
Does get a kill. Juice picks it up. He's going to transition away. Tower will take him out, so it's a 1-for-1, but Minky picks up an assist.
Yes, he does. So Minky managing to pick up an assist there as well, and does have a little bit more pressure on this turret. But 1-for-1 trades all across this map. I mean, the only one that wasn't was Choo-Choo's first kill as First Blood there in that middle lane. So still really, really close this game, and not any objectives being taken. No cheeky dragons that Little Wraith generally like to start off, and
that's what they did in game 1.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see whether they decide to do that. Of course, they did have the Elise, so Elise definitely known for taking those dragons early on, and Chelby and Juves not quite having their ultimates yet, so we're not going to see a lot of massive aggression until they come through.
And I would expect a bit of a lull in the game here if game 1 is anything to go by. I mean, we saw this. We saw 5 kills total coming out in the first 10 minutes, and then everything kind of quietened down until about 15 minutes. And this is Deja Vu. He gets caught again in that situation. No barrier this time, and he goes out without any kill.
Yeah, BHZ unfortunately flaying a Rec Gymnast towards Stars for the extra auto attack for the kill. And they're going to get a fair bit of damage on this turret as well.
You need a run, friend, because here comes Choo-Choo's on the hunt, gets popped, and they want BHZ in this one. He flashes away. The follow-up from Choo-Choo's, evolving that leap, takes him out.
Yeah, and Choo-Choo's looking so cool with that that on the hunt. Yeah, always going to be evolving that Q in that middle lane, so we thought that maybe it would have been a little bit less effective after this nerf, but as we can see, still doing exactly what he needs to do. And this is what Kha'Zix is great at. Just coming around, getting around that map, and Avantgarde are doing exactly what they need to do as well. They're taking the objectives. They're making sure that they focus down areas on this map that have weakness and forcing Little Wraith to react to them, which Little Wraith may not necessarily be as good at because we always see them in the driving seat in these games.
Absolutely, and after game number 1, Little Wraith got to be feeling comfortable to some degree here, but you have to keep that momentum going. We'll see. Maybe AV can take this one back. They're looking strong.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely are. And this is what they need to be. Oh, last breath.
Oh, and look at that. Minky Well taken low. Ignite is used. Oh, the final Steel Temper's not going to find its target. So Colo backs off.
Yeah, Colo not being quite able to keep the distance there after the Dragon's Descent being used expertly by Minky Well to get him safe out of that one. Chelby just going to be rotating around here as well. And they're looking to be able to take this turret. Is Avantgarde going to be able to answer this with a Dragon with both the top laner and the jungler all the way across the map? I don't think so.
Well, there we go. Third time Stars has been snared in that exact same position now. He gets the condemn off, but Kardrid will follow it up. BHZ looks for the Lantern. Nice save. Stars gets away. Going to hook into on a Rec Gymnast as well, but it's not enough. Kardrid goes down. Well, Kadra picked up the kill, rather.
Yeah, Kardred picking up
Stars
that
goes
kill
down.
now, and Stars just not having a great time on this Vayne. 20 CS down, 0-3, 1-1 and 3 here on Kardred on that Sivir. So it's a different story here in this bottom lane, and Avantgarde going to be able to pick up this Dragon as well to extend that gold lead. I mean, they lose the top turret, but it's 1-for-1 in turrets now because of the bottom turret going down, and picking up a Dragon as well. Avantgarde are really, really stepping it up this game.
Absolutely, and we'll see if they can pick up the second Dragon as well, if that trend continues here. So Avant on blue side definitely doing a lot better this time around. 10 minutes in, they're going to siege that mid turret.
Yeah, absolutely. Keen. Oh,
look at the damage and the Cyclone to follow it up right onto him. Juve's taking a lot of damage, though. Shockwave completely whiffs. That was not good news for him. Chelby going to go for the follow-up onto Juve's. Black Shield comes in late, and that's going to cost him a kill right there. Chelby happy with that. Flashes back. Choo-Choos can't find anything, so AV back out.
yeah, not too bad. A little bit of damage control there by Little Wraith, picking up that kill onto Juves, but the Shockwave there by Keen, not quite in the right spot. The flash forward to dodge out of the way of that one by Choo-Choos was definitely good, but a 3-0-0 Kha'Zix has that Brutalizer, has that Vampiric Scepter as well. He's going to be doing so much damage, and although he's down in CS, he's going to have so much money, and he's going to be able to help snowball this game in the direction that Avantgarde wanted to. And it was a nice and well-orchestrated dive here by Avantgarde, but they didn't pick up the tower, which is probably what you'd expect Little Wraith to have done. They would have not done the extra dive.
Yeah.
They would have made sure that they got the map control and vision from taking down that tower.
And it's kind of interesting as well because Avantgarde has a really good push and catch comp for the early game. I mean, snares coming out as well as the boomerangs can really chunk down your opposing team.
Absolutely, and they really, really want to get their melee characters into this fight as well. On the Hunt is fantastic for that, and Erect Gymnast with that Black Shield really means that when they dive into these fights, they're not going to have the ability to get CC'd out of commission here by the lineup here, and especially by Chelby with that Assault and Battery.
All right, so they're at it again. Chelby going to eat that snare there. Nice shield coming out for him. Choo-Choos eats a tower shot, though. There's the Black Shield just blocking out that hook.
Yeah, Kardred not going to worry about that one. Has multiple shields in order to stop those hooks from coming in.
So, I found Doublelift.
Oh, yeah?
He's down here in the bottom lane.
Oh, fantastic. Doing exactly what he should be doing, just farming there for almost forever, freezing out this lane. And actually, it is an intelligent decision. Stars really needs to pick up in this game. He needs to catch back up, get exactly what he needs to, and if he gets that solo experience as well, he's going to make up any deficit in levels that he may have picked up as well. It's a smart decision, but they do lose map pressure, and that's not something that Little Wraith want to deal with.
I mean, you look at kind of how this is
Chelby.
transitioned. Not enough time, though. Nice Cyclone going to catch Chelby. A quick catch there for Avant.
Yeah, fantastic work, just catching him at his rates. And they just have superior warding in the jungle because they have so much extra pressure. I mean, that middle turret has gone down now as well, and now they're heading up. They're going to try and stop Colo from being able to get out of here as well. Nice pink ward does get him to safety, does make sure that it alerts him of their presence, but they're going to lose this top turret, and Avantgarde going to be able to continue their objective game.
And this is exactly what Little Wraith did to them in the first match. They just picked up a couple early leads, transitioned it into a huge snowball right here. You can see in the mid lane, though, Stars was looking for some harass, not going to find it, but Avant pick up the top tower.
Yeah, that's very true. You have to remember the fact that Little Wraith do have an amazing late game team comp, so if they can drag this one out, it would definitely be in their favor. But with 4,000 gold, the deficit here, 13 minutes into this game, Avantgarde are doing such a great job in really pushing it to them and putting the pressure on when they need to.
And you got to remember as well, I mean, Avantgarde have a Wukong. That scales pretty well. So does the Shyvana. The Kha'Zix, I mean, Avantgarde's late game is pretty strong here as well. It's just...
Yeah, very true.
It's just that Vayne that really puts Little Wraith ahead in that sense. But, I mean, judging by Stars' early game, he's really struggling here. And he has to step it up, and he can't afford to fall any further behind, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stars, we're going to be looking at him towards the later sides of this game in order to really finish off this matchup. And the thing is, if Assault and Battery does go down onto Choo-Choos, he's not going to be able to get those resets in this fight. So if he can get caught out when he doesn't have a Morgana friend in order to save him, then that's going to be a really big deal for Little Wraith and probably something they're going to try and find as much as possible with that Assault and Battery Last Breath combination.
All right, so 8-3 here at the 14-minute mark. Blue buff going to go down there, gets picked up by Kian. Will they find this? Whoa, Mickey gets stunned back, jumps straight back in. A two-man Shockwave coming through, but Erect Gymnast gets a two-man stun with his ultimate as well. Kian going to go down. BHZ will as well. It's going to be a double kill here for Sivir, and Mickey Well picks up another off the back of that. 11-3 is the score, and a big team fight for Avant.
Amazing decision making here by Avantgarde. They are making their decisions in a split second. There's no hesitation. They see an opportunity and they take it straight away. Minky Whale is not scared just to Dragon's Descent into the middle of these fights, and I think that Shyvana is a fantastic champion.
And look at him go. Cyclone uses well. Colo goes down. Can't protect his turret by himself. And this is a big push by Avant. Where are they going, though?
Yeah, well, I think Juves wants to go back to base. He has about 10 health at this point, so he's probably going to look to get the heck out of here. But it was a very, very nice push there by Avantgarde. And we're going to have a quick pause, a quick recap on what's going on in this game. And so far, things are looking fantastic for Avantgarde.
Yeah, I mean, they've just snowballed their lead, honestly. They picked up some huge advantages in that bottom lane, just transitioned it into a dragon, couple of towers here and there. And Minky Whale as well in that top lane hasn't really had any troubles against that Yasuo.
Absolutely not.
He's maybe like 8 CS behind, not even, so he's doing fine right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's rotating around this map and doing a lot more teamwork than his Yasuo counterpart is doing as well.
Yeah.
The sacrifice in CS doesn't mean anything to him at this point because he just needs to be a frontline tanky dragon, and everybody else is doing their job so well in the team that it's going to be no problem at all for him just to fall behind a little bit in CS, but he's going to be picking up the assists and the kills as we just saw, and really doing it for his team. The game has actually resumed now. Avantgarde just going to be heading back to base as pretty much a full unit.
And I mean, going into this matchup as well, Little Wraith were definitely seen as the top seed, and they are the top seed because they qualified first. But the big thing here is that Little Wraith have 3 different players to what they qualified with. And even though actually Stars was supporting them at the time, he's now on 80 carry, so that is a big shift, switching those roles around. And I think Little Wraith perhaps not looking as cohesive in this game as they were in game number 1, so Avant, good turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, Little Wraith, I don't know whether they're very good at playing from this position because they're used to putting people in this position. This is where they live. They're not very good at playing for necessarily when they're behind, what do we rotate to when we just want to defend effectively. And that's not necessarily their forte at this point. And they don't have Kian on something like that Ziggs to stop the sieges coming through. And Avantgarde going to take another dragon here, and that's going to be the second game in a row where we've seen one team have complete dragon control.
Absolutely, they get that second one as well, and that trend just continuing here. It's good to follow, and good for teams to know as well that that's kind of how games are shaping out. Maybe they can use that to their advantage, but Avantgarde Ascension going to be ascending up this mid lane.
Yeah, and this is in response to Little Wraith being in this bottom lane, taking this inner turret, and they're going to get the man advantage in this middle lane. Don't have too many creeps, and this turret is at very high health, but BHZ not opting to go in on that hook there on the black shield as well. Nice little defensive play there by Little Wraith.
Yeah, good trade as well. They get a tower and they only lose half of that mid, so definitely worth it for them.
Bit of a
Can they
pincer
catch
move.
some kills though? Chelby's in a bit of trouble, so is Colo. On the hunt, gets popped, and they're going for it. Cyclone's going to land onto Colo. Chelby, look at the damage on him. Going to go straight down to Choo Choo's. Brilliant catch there.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic work. They just fell in exactly in the right position, and Little Wraith was split up. You know, you had the 2 in the bottom lane that was split pushing, and they came back through, and it was just really smart by Avantgarde to just make sure that they were in the right places at the right time, get in a group of 5, and then pop that on the hunt and just catch up and destroy them. It was really, really, really good to see. Really cohesive team play, as we were talking about before.
All right, let's look at the rotations here. Push up the middle lane. Avant going for this tower. Will they find it?
Well, it's going down fairly low at this point. I mean, doesn't
will they
have
kill
the
it? They've
creeps
found it.
at this point. Yeah, they've definitely found it. Yep, it's in the middle lane. Well played, Avantgarde, finding that middle lane turret. And these creeps are now trying to come through. Kian's doing a very nice job in clearing these ones out, though. So not going to be able to be putting too much pressure on this turret. And Little Wraith showing that they do know how to defend. This isn't necessarily something that they haven't dealt with before.
Yeah.
And they can defend these turrets, but Avantgarde are looking so strong at the moment. It's going to be hard for them to do it for much longer.
Well, we'll have to see there. BH said, looking strong as well on this support thresh right here. The build path is nice. Hasn't got that Talisman of Ascension just yet, opting for the Ruby Sightstone first.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to get that little bit of extra health. Of course, Ruby Sightstone slightly more health than it used to have. So a little bit cooler of an item. He's going to pick that one up to try and make himself a little bit more tanky as this Thresh.
And I like this as well from Kian, going double defensive items here. Makes a lot of sense against the assassination potential coming out of Avantgarde.
Yeah, and he wants to have as many shields as possible, and especially with the fact that he has Command Protect and he's soon going to have that Seraph's Embrace as well. and the Zhonya's Hourglass.
Also
for the
making up for the
stasis.
fact that he didn't take Barrier. I mean, he went for that Ignite, so
Yeah.
he can recover a little bit of that in items rather than that Summoner spell.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really good to see him just...
Whoa.
Whoa! The Salt
Okay.
Battery comes through.
Minky Well, not too phased by this one. Still has the Dragon's Descent, just going to walk out of that, not even using the burnout. So Chelby actually gets engaged on this time round. They're turning it around. Meanwhile, there's a fight though. Choo Choos catches a kill with the reset, gets another. And wow, it's a double and a 3-man pickup overall there for Avant-Garde.
4-man actually, Minky Whale soloing out Shelby there in the bottom lane as well. They're going to transition this one over to a Baron, and that was a fight forced by Little Ray, thinking that they could get that last breath off as soon as possible. But with the Flay there by BHZ, he just flashes in, gets the Flay, but Erect Gymnast flashes straight out, pops the Mikhail's Crucible on himself, stops any action from happening, and then they were stuck in this really awkward position and got decimated by that cycle.
Oh no, I was watching that the whole time, expecting one of them to die, and Juice does go down.
Juve's unfortunately not going to be able to have that Baron buff, but gets it for the rest of his team. It just shows some really dedicated play here, Play.
You could really see he wanted to go back in, but he knew he was going to die. He was hanging out. He was like, no, if I tank one more shot, I'm dead. And then the Baron gets low, and he's like, I'm going to try it anyway.
Yeah, I want to get the smite. I want to get it happening.
Anyway,
Unfortunately,
Juves goes
not
down.
what he wants. That being said, I mean, at this stage of the game, 4 turrets to 2 isn't as many as in 20 minutes in the last game that Little Wraith had managed to pick up. And Stars has got a little bit of farm under his belt. He's only a couple behind the likes of Cardred at this point. But it's looking very, very scary. Keen actually... Was that a flash?
That was a flash. I think he wants to get to base faster. That or there's going to be a surrender burn.
That's,
I don't know.
definitely interesting there.
Little
by
Wraith, they know they've lost this one. Let's be honest here. I mean, there's a flash as well. There's the surrender. They knew it was happening. 17-3. What a stomp, honestly.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a turnaround
Stomps
from
back
game
and
number
forth.
1.
Both
Exactly.
teams just got stomped out of that one, and just really amazing play there by Avant-Garde, and Little Wraith just understood the fact that they were outpicked in that game. And I think it was completely down to Choo Choos managing to pick up that first blood and really making himself known on the map. Because if Keen had have pressured him out and made sure that that lane was Oriana's to own, then that would have been a very different story and could have gone completely the other direction. But really nice play by Choo Choos, and he's so good on these assassin characters.
And of course, honestly, it looks like a lot of unsettled play from these players. I mean, game number 1, Avant definitely not pulling out the kind of game that they would be expecting of themselves. And the same here for Little Wraith in game number 2. So let's see. Game number 3 is going to throw it all in the air here because one of these teams will be moving on to the next stage of their group stage. But don't go anywhere, guys, because the game's coming right up. We'll be right back.
beautiful.
We still on for dinner?
Pepper, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, right?
How about 8:30 at the vegan place?
Actually, I'm in the mood for barbecue.
Sounds good.
Take a call and stay in the game. With the Plantronics rig, headset, and mixer, life comes to games like never before.
And we're back for game number 3 here for the Riot Autumn Regionals round of 8. I am pumped up because we have
You are
seen 2
super
stomps
pumped up.
in a row here, and I love game number 3. It's the first one so far in the round of 8 that has gone to that best of 3.
Absolutely, but
yeah.
it's not the way that you'd expect. You're not going to expect teams to go to a game 3 when it's just a massive stomp after massive stomp.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what's going to happen here. Is Blue Side massively overpowered at this point? Or are they just like managing to find answers to the team comps that have come up against them and the strategies that have been used? And now they've both seen what everyone's about when they're in that winning position. So maybe this game's going to be the close one. It's going to be the clincher, and it's going to be down to the wire.
So, we are going to Champ Select in a moment, but you know what I think is Avant didn't really have the bans that they wanted and needed in game number 1, and
That's
that
very
really,
true.
really hurt them. Game 2, they were able to take a couple of those comfort picks away from Little Wraith, and then they had a much better showing, and they clearly won that match. We're into Champ Select, bans are coming out, another Leona ban.
Yep, and possibly another Ziggs ban coming through as well. I wouldn't be very surprised if that one was going to be taken away, although, you know, maybe there are other things that they want to focus on instead of that one. Maybe they want to change this one up. Cassidy being taken away straight away by Avant-Garde, not wanting to let Keen on that one. Ziggs being taken away as well from both Choo Choos and Keen, because both of those players are very, very proficient on that Ziggs with that incredible long-range burst and poke. But not going to be seeing him today, so no need to waffle on. And Elise being taken away as well. She is so strong in the jungle, and I'm glad to see those ones getting banned.
And the thing about the Ziggs pick here as well is it's so strong at turtling for your team. And there's one thing that a lot of Oceanic teams definitely have a struggle with, or a battle with, I guess, and it's closing out games quickly. We saw it yesterday, teams struggling to close out games here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's because of that Ziggs. Ziggs can really stop you from doing that. The last bans, though, Morgana and Caitlyn.
Yeah, I love seeing this Morgana ban coming out from Little Wraith as well. Taking away Erect Gymnast's Leona and his Morgana as well now, and first picking that Thresh. So they're making sure that they know exactly what they want, and they're going to pretty much force Erect Gymnast to either play that Annie or something a little bit less popular in that bottom lane as well, and maybe something that he's a little bit less confident on as well. So I think that Erect Gymnast was a massive facet of the reason why AV were playing so well in that last game. His Dark Bindings were so on point, and he's really helping Cardred get into this game. So, well, I'm just very impressed by the Little Wraith bans, but the Caitlyn ban coming out again here, it does really do well banning against the general vibe of Little Wraith. They want to be able to stand back on a turret and just smack it down, and Caitlyn is the best at that.
Absolutely.
Apart from a max level Tristana, perhaps.
Well, I mean, the Thresh was also banned twice in the first 2 games, so that one's the first time it's going to be picked up for these guys. Little Wraith actually banned it themselves, so interesting that they've gone from banning it to picking it here. Obviously, BHZ going to be happy to take this. And
he was very good on that in game 1. It was definitely something that helped them win that game, but not so much in game 2.
Nikki Wales got the Shyvana again.
And we're seeing the Lulu as well on top of that. And that could be going for Erect Gymnast just because there aren't as many supports on the table. We have been seeing here in Oceania in this round of 8 that Lulu's been picked mostly for that bottom lane, mostly for that support role. But Choo Choos could definitely play that one. And I think that they were a lot picking that away from Kian because he's very, very good. And when he was Little Dopper, he was playing that Lulu to perfection in that middle lane. So really, really nice to see. And the Shyvana-Lulu combination, just as those 2 champions, is fantastic.
And we'll see. I mean, Sivir is still open here, so that could be added on top for even more speed. Could it be a Rumble pick here, though? I mean, Porky, or Colo, rather, has played the Rumble in the past. It's not one of his most played. Shelby, though, that is his most played. Lee Sin.
He's getting on his Lee Sin. Was banned away in the last game, but he wants to pick that one up this time. And Colo going to be locking in that Rumble in that top lane to go against Minky Whale on his Shyvana, seeing whether he can push it to him. Jack Attack did quite well against that Shyvana in lane, but things didn't work out so well for them in the game afterwards. So we'll just see whether Colo can really make it happen. That Equalizer is still such a dominating move, though. And paired up with that box as well.
Next 2 picks here for Avant. What are they looking to get here?
Definitely Sivir. They are going to lock in Sivir 100%. I guarantee that one. Cartridge going to be picking that one up, and he has played that in the last 2 games, so it was a bit of a giveaway. But with these 2 champions as well, with Whimsy and Burnout and On the Hunt, just so much speed, so much ability to get into that backline, and Choo Choo's really happy on that Kha'Zix.
Yeah, going to lock that one in again, probably here. And I guess the Sivir pick with the Lulu and the Shyvana is becoming one of the more meta team comps. I mean, we've seen it played. Yesterday it was played once as well. Multiple times in all of the qualifiers.
Absolutely.
And seeing it picked up here again is no surprises. The mid and support are usually what gets shifted around. You know, do you go for something like the Morgana maybe, something else down there, but it's going to be the Kha'Zix in that middle lane.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see Stars not hovering over this Vayne again, because it's going to be very, very hard for him to go against a Sivir and that same bot lane duo that we were seeing before as a Vayne, and Stars locking in that Lucian. He's very confident on that Lucian. He's very good at that champion. So I'm really happy to see him pick up something that isn't as different and a little bit stronger early as well, because Lucian's a lot stronger in the early phases of this game. And we have seen the Lucian and Thresh combination so many times. It's not funny, and it's a tried and true combo, and they're going back to their roots, making sure that they can do as much work as they can in that laning phase, what they couldn't necessarily do in the last one.
And the thing about their last laning phase was, with the Vayne, it's such a niche pick, you really got to have the mechanics down there. And I mean, Stars was a support for Little Wraith. Support Kayle, maybe? I mean, rather a mid Kayle.
Yeah, mid Kayle here to go up against Choo Choo's on that Kha'Zix as well. That's an interesting pickup. Kha'Zix could also be played by Juves here in the jungle, though. So they could switch that one around if they felt like it. Wukong going to be the lock-in, though, instead.
Okay, so Juves going to be on that Wukong again. I mean, he played fantastically last time.
He definitely did well.
And it's going to be strong for him. But again, Lulu's support is what we're seeing here in the round of 8.
Apparently, Australia hasn't caught on to the fact that it goes in the mid lane after the qualifier.
I kind of like it, though. I mean, we saw it in this the Challenger qualifier as well as the ACL qualifier. Yeah. And it really didn't work out. I mean, honestly, it was picked in the middle lane. We were looking for the utility aspects that Lulu brings to a team, and they weren't really shining over the damage that someone else could bring here. So I feel this is a really good adaptation by Avant, looking for something that's going to work from a little bit better here. And Choo Choo's, he's doing that on Kha'Zix.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, Little Wraith's AoE team fight is ridiculous at this point. You can have the Culling coming through from the back. You can also have that Equalizer coming down. You can have Kian doing tons and tons of damage on that Kayle. And I'm excited to see how this game goes. And I can't pick it at this point because Choo Choo's has his Kha'Zix, and he was so strong on that champion. Against a Kayle, it's going to be difficult to burst him down with that intervention. But if he manages to do a bit of work on him in the early stages of this game, like perhaps does that level 3 all-in that Kha'Zixes like to do, before Kayle can really get into that mode where you just want to harass all the time from range using that Reckoning. I mean, I'd like to see that happen, but I think it's going to be up to Juice to try and get the ganks coming in. You don't reckon?
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see here, of course. This is going to be explosive for game number 3, and what better way to do it with a Wombo combo and that high mobility team comp that we see always with the Lulu, the Sivir, and the Shyvana. But big thing to comment on here is that because it's a Lulu support, going to be a lot less AP. Depending on the build, of course, Spell Thief's Blade has been buffed. Maybe that'll be the point of view. We saw Annie picked earlier on in the series, and that was full AP build on her as well. So,
and BHZ definitely did a massive amount of work on that Annie as well. So building that AP probably was going for that Deathfire Grasp by the end of that game. Yeah. So really doing a lot of work there. So we'll have to see what he manages to do here on his Thresh instead. So not necessarily doing the amount of work that he perhaps wanted to in the last game, so trying to make up for it. And Stars being on that Lucian is really going to help him be able to reach that potential because he's going to have a much stronger lane.
I'm still kind of sad, though, that we haven't seen a Rec Gymnast pick that Alistar. He's like the one guy in all of Oceania that'll pick Alistar and just give everyone their taste of Alistar so you can just, like, relax for a bit.
Yeah, you definitely need that cow in your life, just that little bit.
Yeah, just once or twice. And it's interesting as well because Little Wraith are banning the Leona when a Rec Gymnast doesn't play Leona because he always picks the Alistar to counter it. So there's a lot of mind games going on here in the ban phase as well.
That being said, when you see a Rec Gymnast on that Leona, you know that you're in trouble because he's so good at that champion as well, and he's just happy to pick that in any matchup. Someone picks Thresh? Nah, don't worry. I'll pick Leona. That's fine, even though it's considered to be quite a difficult matchup.
I don't think we even can consider it anymore. We see it.
No, you see it so often.
Exactly. So it's more just a skill-based kind of thing, or how the jungle gets involved in your lane, or how the AD carries are as well, because obviously it's a duo lane, so it's hard to just say this support counters this, because there's a lot of other factors you need to take.
Absolutely. It's a very complicated sort of matchup as well. And considering the fact that, it's basically just saying that the Flay can be used to stop you from Zenith Blading, but that's not in the entirety of Leona's kit and the only way that she can make herself an impact in a team fight or in a skirmish in that bottom lane as well. So I'm excited to see what happens here, and I'm excited to see how Keen manages to put the pressure on as that Kayle as well, because we know Little Wraith like to push turrets as quickly as possible, and Kayle is a beast turret pusher, just pushing all day, every day.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about the Kayle as well is it's up against this melee champion as well. Going to have a lot of free time to auto-attack harass here as well. And the synergy with Chelby is strong as well, because you've got intervention, you've got shields, you've got kicks, you've got so many tools to tower dive here. So I'm going to be interested to see if Chelby decides to go for that in the middle lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've also got the equalizer as well. You can have Colo coming down from that top lane and getting that equalizer in the right positions as well. And that's really, really important in this game. So I haven't actually seen Porky play that Rumble, but Rumble is so popular here in the Oceanic meta. There are so many players that play a lot of Rumble in that top lane. Yeah. I mean, over the years as well, he's just been a really popular pick.
Yeah, we've seen Porky pick it a couple of times, but it's always been against these really tanky top laners. You know, the Renekton, the Shyvana, the Mundos. He doesn't particularly pick it against any other champion. Yeah. And I guess it's just a comfort for him. He likes playing into that matchup, just like Jack Attack would, just like JKS Smithy would.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of these guys liking that.
Yeah. And Rumble is, if you know how to play Rumble, that's a skill that you learn, and you can always use him, regardless of what happens to the meta shifts or anything like that. A really good Rumble player will always be a really good Rumble player. So we'll just have to see whether Colo can really stand up against Minky Well's Shyvana that was really powerful last game.
Yeah. But, of course, this game will be starting up soon. Choo Choo's always a bit slow to connect here. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, his computer is not quite up there yet.
Sometimes Carbon as well. They kind of swap around. Well, Carbon's not even here. They got Juice. That's right, because Juice is a
Carbon
sub.
definitely struggling to connect to this game, please. Don't worry about that one. He's not even here yet.
Yeah. So, Minky Well in this top lane, though. We kind of talked about game one. He might struggle because he's not usually a top laner.
Yeah, but that next game, he was fantastic.
Exactly, and it was because Colo picked that Yasuo into his Shyvana. So this time, probably going to be a bit more of an even matchup, that's for sure.
That being said, his Dragon's Descents in teamfights were just without hesitation, but whenever his team was definitely ready for the follow-up. It was fantastic to see, always catching Little Wraith off guard. And the fact that he has that again is got to be scary for the side of Little Wraith.
And that's what it's all about. Team communication is how you make it happen here in the round of 8. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, teams like Immunity doing so well, but there we go. Game number 3 here. Let's do it. Alright, we're on to the Rift here for game number 3. Little Wraith back on the blue side. And look at this, going for an invade. Going to get spotted out straight away.
Yeah, the invade into straight down the middle lane. Not necessarily going to be working out here, but they are staying together here on the side of Little Wraith.
This is the Winston defense where they just sit in a line and invade by themselves. Yeah. I was expecting them to sit there for a little bit longer. You know, it's like the 5-man defense. They've condensed it down, though. But Little Wraith going for an invade here.
Yeah, and Cardred not getting hit by that death sentence does manage to scout out the fact that they're waiting in that brush, but they are definitely well noticed at this point.
Man, it's like a different game when they invade.
I know, it's so exciting.
It's so
there's things happening.
I saw a ping as well. That's new.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's not just the general. I'm going to sit here and put down my my trinket ward, as I always do. That being said, we do have the Ruby Crystal starts here by both supports as well, so unique starts for every player, if you're going to say it on part of the one team. But over the side of AV, they do have the Crystalline Flask just to mix things up a little bit in that middle lane.
Take a look at this from Avant as well. Like, they just know there won't be an invade now. That's how solid the meta is. That no one's even lining up to defend here. You've got Shyvana helping Wukong out of that red buff already. Both bottom laners just chilling down there, waiting for the minions to spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. They did manage to get their trinket wards out, though, so they managed to get them in those choke positions, so they don't need to just body block them as much at this point, so they're just able to freely maneuver around, and this is really, really smart by AV. Erect Gymnast and Cardred really want to be able to push that level 2 as quickly as possible so that Stars and BHZ don't get there first, because if they do, then Cardred won't have that spell shield, and if that death sentence comes through, that's going to spell a really early first blood potentially, so something that I really, really like here coming out from AV.
Well, okay, let's see how this one goes into the game. Bottom lane is where it starts, and it's Cardred pushing it out early. Stars take a chunk of damage, and I'll be expecting this. I mean, Lulu and Siva are going to be pushing a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Siva just naturally pushes a wave with that Boomerang Blade and that Ricochet, both of them doing a lot of AoE damage to a wave, and she just likes to be auto-attacking all the time. So I would expect that one to be coming through as she does harass with that Ricochet and the Boomerang Blade. But we'll see what does happen, because Thresh and Lucian both able to help out a shove as well. So they're probably just going to play the laning phase game, trying to keep it so that they get the lane, get the creeps into the positions that they want them to. And it's worked out quite well for Little Wraith right here.
I really think Little Wraith's fight's going to be stronger as well. I mean, Stars is going to be able to use that Reckless Pursuit to get out of the slow flow from Lulu, and that's going to really help him in these engages because, of course, Thresh can get that catch. You can really trade heavily as a Lucian anyway, and then you look at Chelby in the jungle if he wants to get involved, and he's Lee Sin, so Little Wraith's early game is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, and this is what Little Wraith need to focus on, because they want to be able to put some pressure on the early game that they couldn't do last game. Last game, they had this late game sort of massive team comp of champions that just scaled really, really well, but they didn't get to that position. They didn't get to that point, so they weren't able to do it.
Absolutely. So there's a quick little pause as these guys fix up whatever issue is sparking and ruining their day. But, of course, Game 3, winner of this moves on to the next stage of their group. But the loser still has another shot, because obviously each group is like a double elimination where you fight for the seeds rather than that grand final victory.
Yeah, and winner, of course, is going to go off to face Immunity in the next game that's going to be held next week as well. And the loser going to be facing Optic Snipers here at the bottom end. And then the loser of that game is going to actually not have a chance to come through either. So
yeah, that's where you get knocked out, because it's double elimination. You lose twice, you're out.
Yeah, exactly right.
But if you win, you're still back into it, and we are back into the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Minky Well and Kolo are just going to be fighting against each other. And this is as you'd expect as well. Rumble going to have a little bit more harass potential early on in this matchup, while he does have just a little bit more damage and ability to stand in a creep wave and just throw out his Flame Spitter without actually copying creep damage for that one as well, because it is, of course, an ability. Rectum just gets caught.
Yeah, nice flay back as well, just for a little bit of harass here. Stars using that Reckless Pursuit, getting hit by that slow and unable to cleanse it because of that ordering of skills.
Yeah, very, very excited Ignite there by BHZ, putting it straight down onto a Wreck Gymnast just for the extra damage. The mid lane there was a little bit of a gank. Juve's not being able to quite finish off Keen here.
Yeah, Keen, pretty strong there.
And by finish off, I mean quite do any damage on him.
Exactly, he heals it up too. But look at this, Choo Choo's, wow, being very aggressive there, eats a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, very even trade there in the middle lane as well. Choo Choo's doing a great job farming though. 18 to 16 or 17, there's a lot of creeps there waiting for Keen to come and grab, and I just ate my words. So no worries at all, it's just going to be all even Stevens there in that middle lane. In this bottom lane though, so much fighting.
Here comes Shelby though into this mid lane. Choo Choo's just going to jump back out, and this is just going to be a slow early game, I feel, right here. A lot of defensive maneuvers from all of these guys, so the jungler's looking just to farm, probably.
Yeah, well, exactly. But Shelby is on that Lee Sin, does have a lot of early game ganking potential, so I'd like to see him moving around and trying to get as much presence on this map as he can possibly muster, just because he's going to... Oh, Keen.
Oh, he's not going to find anything.
No, not going to find anything. Did get a fair bit of damage down onto Choo Choo's, and as that Kale, just a complete bully monster in that middle lane, as we were talking about many, many times before. So doing a great job. Oh, Kadra get hooked.
Right into Kadra. Didn't get the spell shield off in time. That's bad news for him. Manages to get out of there, but has to use that flash.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the time when BHZ would have really liked that Ignite. He puts it down onto a Wreck Gymnast really early on, and that time it probably could have netted them first blood. So maybe wanted to hold on to that one just for a little bit longer, but does force Kadra back, and Stars and BHZ having a definite better game than they had last one.
Absolutely. And well, I mean, the 7-minute mark was where we saw all of these kills coming out. By 7 minutes, there were
Shelby.
5 kills overall, and Choo Choo's is going to be the first. Keen picks it up.
And dodges the last turret hit that may have spelled his death as well, forcing the tower dive as well under there. And this is Little Wraith making the plays exactly how they want to, and Shelby now just taking away Juves' jungle as well. So really nice play by Little Wraith, and I think that they're just saying, look, you can't... Oh, wow, Keen taking a bunch of damage.
Here comes BHZ, though, so Keen's fine right here, just looking for that harass. Will Juves jump back in? I feel like he could have. He had the flash, but just going to play it safe.
Yeah, and BHZ was there as well.
Yeah, intervention as well from Keen.
He just dinged the level 6 as that happened. And then Juves was like, oh, okay, well, now he's going to be able to be invincible. This is going to ruin my day completely. That being said, only 5,000 gold is the difference. So even though that first blood has, 500 gold, not 5,000. It's completely ridiculous.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, even though just first blood going down, so definitely not a landslide here. And Choo Choo's
definitely come back. He's got a lot of creeps. He's got a lot of swords as well. So see what he can do.
Absolutely. So slow game though. 6 minutes. By the 7-minute mark in game number 2, there were 5 kills overall.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So game 3 definitely slowing down here.
Yeah, and they know that it's all on the line at this point. You know, there's not that chance of, oh, we could just win the next one. You know, it's fine. It's all down to this, and this is the deciding matchup. So you can understand why they're being a little bit more hesitant with their play. Stars doing a nice little double tap there onto Cardred.
Yeah, Camera really liking this top lane. Wants to see more of Colo.
Generally does, you know, because they're just so close together all the time, just always fighting it out. Minkwell and Colo just doing a nice amount of work, and Colo farming it up nicely as well. But honestly, there's not much to talk about there in that top lane. It's just the general top lane island.
There we go, mid lane no juice. Looked for a gank, decided just to walk out using that decoy.
Yep.
Not too keen on it.
Not too keen on it, exactly right. And with that intervention available as well, Keen's going to be a lot harder to gank. Oh, in the bottom lane though.
Another hook onto a Wreck Gymnast right there. Stars takes a lot of damage though. Cardred having a nice trade right here, but can they keep the damage up? Little Wraith going for it. Stars taken so low. Barrier baits from both of these guys, and it is the kills going on both AD carries right there. Can the supports battle it out though? One will fall if they keep at it. A Wreck Gymnast looking strong. BHZ takes a chunk of damage. Hooks a Wreck Gymnast back into the creeps, but the creeps aren't hitting him, so they're going to back off. No more kills.
Really nicely played there by BHZ. Unfortunately, not able to finish off that kill.
BHZ has flash. BHZ has flash. Will he go for it? Oh, he does, and he gets the kill.
He waits for that flay just to get that little bit of extra damage there, and then just flashes for
a
really,
here we
really
go.
nice play. Shelby picking up that last tick of red buff there as well to pick up that kill.
Yeah, just kicks Juves into his own tower, takes him out. So, 8 minutes and 5 kills coming through, so it wasn't a slowdown from game number 2. Oh man, they took an extra minute, but they made it happen.
That's exactly right, and Little Wraith just doing a lot of work around this map. Really, really great. And now, in perfect Little Wraith style, going to be taking this dragon as well in full vision of Avant-Garde. Stars just grabbing that Lantern Highway into that Dragon Pit as well. And Shelby just looks so at home on this Lee Sin. He's just really doing all of the rotations that he needs to, and Choo Choo's is getting so punished in this middle lane as well.
Yeah, and he's going for the Madras Razors as well here on Lee Sin.
Yeah, and I think he's probably opting to go for, he might want to finish that that Wriggles Lantern that's not been the popular choice, but a lot of Lee Sins like to go for the Sightstone as well early on, just so that they can both ward up the enemy jungle. We saw Spooks doing this yesterday, and ward up the jungle and use those for the safeguard jumps. Exactly.
So Keen just pressuring this middle lane here. CS very even, and actually Choo Choo's will come out ahead once he clears out this creep wave. So Choo Choo's has got to be happy with how this level 1, or this early game, I guess, has gone.
Yeah, even though the Keen did pick up that kill onto him, under that turret, which was very nicely orchestrated, he's going to have a little bit more money, but Choo Choo's not doing too badly in the farm, which is very important for a Kazi.
All right, here we go. Juves coming up to this top lane now. And Colo, he's just going to walk away.
Yeah, and that Scrap Shield is so useful in that top lane to avoid ganks as well. And that lane is so incredibly even between Minkwell and Colo. We'll see who manages to get the slight edge based on team fights potentially. I mean, Colo needs to be moving around this map because Rumble is just a fantastic champion in a team fight, and he really needs to start being there for Little Wraith if they're wanting to make the really big plays around this map.
Absolutely. So a quick little pause here. Something I'd like to say is that Thresh picked up all the kills on this bottom lane. So he's now 2-0 and 1.
Oh
2-0 and 0 rather, no assists.
What a beast.
Yeah.
BHZ just really trying to make a name for himself on this this Thresh after not quite having the game of his life.
What's the game? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
What does BHZ stand for, do you reckon? Oh, another pause. Well, we'll talk about it then.
Big Heavy Zebra?
That was quick.
I don't know.
Beast Hurts.
Bald Hat-Zoo?
I don't know. Tweet at us. What do you think it stands for?
Yeah, please.
I'm sure he'll just tell us after this game anyway. Just ruin all the fun, but give it a shot. There we are, back into the game.
Maybe we want to keep the mystery alive.
Oh, keep them alive. I like
a lot of action here in this bottom lane, though.
Box gets popped, and Direct Gymnast popping the Wild Growth in response. BHZ's in trouble. The star of the showdown here with all of those kills will go down. Cardred picks up that kill. A nice response by Choo Choo's, though. Will he escape the minions? Nice little heal using those spikes.
Yeah, using that W in order to heal up a little bit of that damage as well. Choo Choo's coming down, finishes off Stars as well, and that's a double kill in that bottom lane. But Little Wraith don't mind. They'll just take the mid lane turret for free. This bottom lane turret has a lot of health on it as well, so still managing to keep in contention as far as All of the... Oh, wow.
Nice
Cyclone comes
clone.
through.
Oh, he's going for the insect. Puts Juice right back into Keen. And look at the damage. Intervention saves Chelby as well. Keen picks up the kill.
Really, really nice use of intervention as well. Chelby had that turret aggro on him, and the turret's going to keep going for Chelby even if he is invincible. So picks up that kill, and oh, really, really nice play. Choo Choo's coming in trying to defend this turret, but it's taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, Choo Choo's obviously evolving that Q first, so the leap not quite the range that he would be looking for just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Haunting Guy's now coming through for Colo as well. And Spectre's Cal in response by Minky Rail, just the classic Minky Rail.
Minky, Minky Whale, okay.
Minky Rail. My voice is a bit dumb sometimes.
Another pause.
Another pause slightly coming through. I think someone's probably suffering from a little bit of lag issue. We're happy to let them just
Maybe
sort it out because we want to make sure that our teams are on exactly equal footing.
I wonder if it's BHZ. He's just reading all the tweets that we're now getting spammed at him.
Yeah, unfortunate. Maybe the tweets aren't coming through yet. Maybe.
I don't know if he even has Twitter.
Who knows? Yeah, that's true.
We'll have to check.
It maybe his Twitter's in his actual name, and therefore no one really knows. Back into the game though.
Let's do it. Alrighty, so we're back into the game. I just wanted to stare down the camera before we got back in.
Oh, good.
Just
Someone's got to do it.
Anyway, Colo going to push up his top lane though. Minky well, just defending it.
Colo
As the
going down
Dragon's
very low.
descent, will go for it. Scrap Shield blocks a lot of that damage, but another flash from Minky and another pause. Colo's so dead though.
Yeah, he's
Colo's
definitely
gone.
dead. Stars is actually suffering from a little bit of lag here. Very unfortunate timing. That being said, yep, Colo's going to die.
I'm suffering from like a hype roller coaster right now. It's like the ups and downs just throwing me all around the place.
I know. Now you're stuck in this pause and you're sort of in this, oh, what am I going to do?
Will Colo die?
Yes. I'm going to go with yes. I'm going to lock that one in. Absolutely.
All right, going to lock that one in.
Yeah, Burnout is actually running here on Minky Royale.
So is Ignite, I think.
Scrap Shield was used, and he's overheating, so he's silenced. So not going to be able to get out of this one. Still a lot of heat in order to come back. Stars has reconnected into this game.
He's
Things,
under a lot of heat.
Seem to be a little bit settling back down now, but AV looking to take a kill back in their name and try and even this one out a little bit.
I'll tell you what would be cool though. I mean, if Burnout added to the heat onto Rumble.
That would be cool, a little bit of an action. But,
Except it would be OP. There it is.
Be a little bit broken in this particular matchup, I
So.
would definitely feel.
Colo did die. You got that one right.
Yep, see? My predictional skill definitely
good,
shining through at this point. Thanks, man.
You impressed me.
I crave for your approval.
Now it's just weird. Stars and BHZ pushing his bottom lane. Erect, Gymnast, and Cardred here to defend it, so.
Yeah, Choo Choo's coming down, though. This is going to be very, very dangerous for Little Wraith.
Ooh, and they have spotted it out. No, they haven't. There was no ward. He comes in stealth, and look at the damage on the Stars straight away. Wild Growth going to knock him up, and this is Demolition here in the bottom lane. It's going to be BHZ to follow. Good gank from Choo Choo's.
Yeah, Choo Choo's picking up a kill there as well, and he's doing really well in order to try and come back into this game after the slightly not as fun early start to it. Keen not managing to rotate around quite as effectively, and Choo Choo's just making use of the fact that they took that turret, and then Little Wraith were trying to get to that bottom turret to try and pressure that one down as well. So really nice rotational play here by Choo Choo's, and they might get this in a turret as well.
And this is what Ivan have been doing so well from the last game. Getting kills, pushing big advantages here in the towers, and that's what they're going to get here. Can they take it out? Keen's come down to defend it. He's going to go for it. Tower will fall down, and they're not going to find any kills just yet. Shield already used by Cardred, forced to flash. Good preemptive flash there. Doesn't want to get hit by the Reckoning.
Yeah, that being said, they do manage to get this in a turret as well, and it looks like they're going to be able to get away. Very, very nice little answer there by Erect Gymnast in order to stave them off and get that distance.
Shelby's hiding. He's going to go for it. Oh, and he doesn't get the red buff. Jubes finds it. He's going to follow, though. Nice safeguard. Nice kick. The moves are coming out here for Shelby. Can he find the kill, though? Another Sonic Wave will land. Big equalizer going to burn Jubes down, and that's the kill.
Yeah, evening up the kill score here as well, and only 100 gold in this matchup. And this is exactly what you'd expect after both of these teams learning how they both go in these games and how they win a match. And they've got it down, and now we've got a massive nail-biter on our hands.
Absolutely. 6-6 here at the 13-minute mark. Gold, less than 400 between them, and the towers will be even. Look at this, though. Shelby, Keen, getting aggressed on by Choo Choo's just for the defense.
Yeah, very nice work. Stars and BHZ managing to take out this bottom turret as well, so not going to look at overextending too much throughout this game, but Dragon is coming up in 45 seconds. Oh dear.
Erect Gymnast in big trouble. Nice flash over the wall, but right into a BHZ. That's not what he wanted. Gonna Wild Growth himself, try and buy some time. Still surviving here, and Shelby didn't have the energy to follow up on that Sonic Wave, so that'll be a great escape from the Erect Gymnast.
Yeah, very, very nice work. BHZ also managing to flash just far enough in order to stay out of that one as well. And did Shelby manage to pick up that blue buff as well?
Not sure. I think he did. He did.
That is incredible because
What a
he
beast.
used that lantern in order to get back out again as well, and I'd really love to see exactly how quickly he managed to do that because that was almost too fast for my eyes. Amazing play there by Chelby to manage to do that, and Colo and Minkiewell just going at it as per usual in this top lane, as we generally see fairly often.
Yeah, Minkiewell looking pretty strong as well. But look at this. AV going for the Dragon. If they pick this one up, it won't be the trend continuing because Little Wraith picked up the first.
Yeah, they'll be alternating this time as well, and that's put the gold. Look at that, exactly even at this point.
Yeah.
2 turrets to 2, 6 kills to 6, 1 dragon to 1 dragon. This could not be any closer. Wow, Juice gets caught.
Oh, will he find the kills though? Pops the Cyclone, then cancels it straight away. Just wants to get out of this one. Will go down to Stars. Hook in from Choo Choo's. And Little Wraith is bringing the pain train right here. Erect Gymnast is now on the run. Chelby with another ward jump at Erect Gymnast. Taking so much damage. It's a double kill for Chelby. BHZ takes a chunk of damage. But what a fight.
Really, really well played there. And the intervention wasn't actually popped there by Keen. He must have gone down so fast.
Oh, the pincer move. It's Minky coming in from the side, but straight into a hook there from BHZ. Chelby going to jump out, but Little Wraith are happy. They got that tower. Whoop.
Oh, takes the Lantern Highway as well out of that one into safety zone.
Yep.
Takes the big Wraith as well. So Little Wraith doing very, very nice work here. Managing to get ahead a little bit by about 1,000 or so. And picking up that inner turret as well in that mid lane. So they're going to have so much more vision around this map and so much more map control. Minkiewell now back into the top lane with Colo. And this is just the general story that we're going to be talking about all the time.
I really feel, though, in this best of 3, though, the top lane has had a lot more impact on the match. I mean, we've seen some great rotations from both Colo and Minkiewell when it comes to the group objectives. And so it's good to see them, you know, supporting the island meta in that top lane, but also knowing when enough is enough and when it's time to move.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're so even as well in this matchup, so if one of them's missing, it's really going to be visible in these
Oh,
team
look at
fights.
that damage from Keen, though, onto Cardred. Looked like he wanted to follow it up there as well.
Ooh, that death sentence also barely missing the behind of Choo Choo's there as he walks away, tail between his legs, and Minkiewell trying to put a bit of damage down here as well, and he's starting to do a lot of pain to Colo in this top lane.
Absolutely, so game taking a bit of a lull right here. We can see Chelby picking up his red buff. Stars just going to go base after going to that bottom lane. But let's talk about Stars right here. He's going for the Drive Force, and he's having an interesting game compared to last time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely farming so much better than last time. He was struggling in that lane. And now Keen rotating around to this top lane. Notice that there's an outer turret available, and Kale is such a powerful turret pusher. Does so much damage to those turrets. Does have that sheen as well. Oh, Shelby.
Yeah, lots of skill shots missing there. Retgen is probably going to get out here, no problems.
Yep, everyone just going to be repostulating.
Yeah. Did you know you can safeguard to the Lantern?
You can.
It's great.
You can also safeguard to a Jarvan standard.
Yes, you can. You can teleport to that as well.
Yes. Little fun facts with Place and Atlas here.
Yeah.
That being said, oh, Death Sentence. Oh, barely hits.
Yeah.
Barely
Cardred
misses.
Cardred didn't listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely not. And they gave up on that top outer, and they're going to posture around this middle lane, but I don't think they want to be sieging here. I mean, Colo does have decent dive assistance with that equalizer as well, and Chelby's definitely strong on his Lee Sin, especially in comparison to Juves. Juves not having a great game today. It's 0-4-0, 4-0 and 3 on the other side onto Chelby, and he's looking massively tanky, looking to build up that Randuin's as early as possible as well. So
Yeah.
Chelby's showing us why you need to ban that Lee Sin, and Avant-Garde read the memo the second game, but didn't quite read it the third one.
Yeah, and that's true. 9-7 is the score, of course. 17 minutes in, and another pause coming out here.
Yeah.
What do you reckon's the next big play from these guys?
I reckon Dragon's going to be a contention when it does manage to come up, but I think that Little Wraith don't want to be sieging. They want to be getting a good rotation around this map.
We're in the game. That's funny.
Yeah,
There we
good.
go. We're in. It took a bit longer than I expected.
Yeah. This is just the awkward finger just hanging out there, but
Same.
Avant-Garde pushing back now as well.
Alrighty, can they pull this one off though? Minkiewell needs to wait for that Dragon's Descent, so perhaps not going to dive just yet. Cullen going to buy some more time.
Yeah, Cardred popping a little bit of a preemptive spell shield there. Little Wraith might have a little bit of a window, but not opting to go for it. BHZ doesn't want to go too far forward.
Mm-hmm.
And
see where they go,
Chelby actually in the top lane shoving out this top turret. So they are going to be able to pick up an objective here if Minkiewell doesn't make it there in time.
I like
That's
Chelby's
definitely what
build
they
here.
want.
He's pretty much going full tank.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at him. He's so beefy under this turret. He just ignores Minkiewell. Doesn't mind. Lets him whack on him for as long as he feels like.
Minky Well pretty tanky as well, but here come all of Little Wraith. Not going to find the Dragon, though.
Yeah, and they take down that turret, and this is what Little Wraith like to do. And of course, it's 4 turrets to 2 now in Little Wraith's favor, when at this stage of the game, last game, it was about the same, but in Avant-Garde's favor. Maybe a little bit earlier in the game last game.
Yeah, so Stars going to start this siege. Lucian's so strong at pushing these towers with his passive.
Oh, the kick!
Oh, will they find the kill, though? Choo Choo's going to take a lot of damage. That is a beautiful equalizer, and look at the damage it's putting out there. Erect Gymnast forced to jump away. Juves doesn't last a moment in that fight. Mickey Whale in the background, not getting much done. Shelby gets saved there with the intervention. Going to safeguard forward for the fun of it, but Little Wraith coming out big.
Really, really nice play. They only got 1 kill off that, but they got everyone on the side of Avant-Garde really, really low. Minky Whale got zoned out of that fight as well, and that equalizer was stunning. Colo just showing exactly the fact that he's been against a lot of incredibly good Rumbles here in Australia because we've got so many of them, and he's just another one of them to go on top of the list with the rest of them, and that, oh man, that placement was fantastic.
Yeah, it's a real good example of how or why people pick that Rumble. High risk, high reward. If he missed that equalizer, it would have been a very different fight right there. But Minky Well needs to be careful. Hook coming out there, not really going to find a BHZ. Just going to walk back.
Yeah, absolutely. BHZ with a little bit of a bugged out anti-healing mark on the top of his head, which is kind of cool. It's just sort of partying on there.
What's going to heal him, though? That's a good question.
I'm not entirely sure, you know. It could be anything. It could be Kian. Just pop his W on him. Just give him a little bit of a heal.
That was a rhetorical question. But
oh, right. Okay, sorry. I just really wanted to answer you. I thought this was trivia. I got excited.
Trivia game. 20 minutes in, though. And that's no trivia. 10-7.
Absolutely not. Look at all of the wards on the top side of Avant-Garde's jungle on the side of Little Wraith. They've basically spotlit everywhere.
They have 7 and a pink ward.
7 and a pink, and the pink being near that Baron in that pretty little brush that people often forget to check.
They have 6.
Even at this point.
Juve's finding one of them. Can he find the rest?
Yeah, Juve's now thinking that he's probably put a bit of a dent into Little Wraith's vision.
Yeah,
but
it's a bit of an Easter egg hunt for those wards now.
Absolutely. Definitely not the case at this point. Little Wraith getting around to this dragon as well, and they see the fact that Cardridge there in the top side of their jungle, and they're going to take this one for free. Really nice work here by Little Wraith.
3rd dragon as well, so they're keeping to that alternating pattern.
Yeah, we're looking at Avant-Garde pick up the next one in 6 minutes when that one does come up.
Lock it in.
Yep, absolutely. And I think our Star's looking to go for this Last Whisper as well, wanting to be able to do damage to Minky Well, because he is building a little bit tanky with that armor.
Yeah, that's true.
So it does have that pickaxe there. Might transition, if they get a few kills, into that Infinity Edge to try and snowball this victory, but I think we're looking for that, pardon me, the Last Whisper to come through.
And Keen as well has picked up that Lich Bane, so he's really going to have burst behind his skill combo now. Starts with that Reckoning, hits him in the face with the Lich Bane, and that is going to chunk people like Cardrid down really, really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of that Q as well, which did receive a little bit of a nerf, but it's still a beastly maneuver. And with that slow on top of it as well, just so powerful. And with the Nashor's Tooth as well, it's like the core has been built up now by Kian. That Kale is going to be a monster in these fights. 3, 1, and 2 as well.
So we'll see where Little Wraith decide to take this. Choo Choo's also level 12 now, so he has that 2nd evolution, puts it into the leap. And that's big news for him, because Kazik's so good at turning close team fights into landslide victories with those resets.
Absolutely. It's reset time. Now that level 12 is hit, level 11, of course, was when he was able to evolve that leap. And we're looking at Choo Choo's to be able to really carry these fights, and we're looking at Little Wraith to be able to shut him down in order to win these. And it's all entirely up to that, and it's a little bit unfair to put it all on the back of Choo Choo's, but if he doesn't manage to get a lot of these resets, it's going to be very hard for them to have enough damage, due to the fact that Juves is just so far behind in this matchup right now.
And that's what you risk with that Wukong pick. I mean, he went for a bit of damage early on with the Spirit of the Lizard Elder, which is fine. That's what everyone's going to be going for. But he got destroyed by Chelby. Chelby was on top of him the whole game when it came to the jungle maneuvers, and Juves just struggling now as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just a little bit too squishy here in this matchup as well. And Randu and Zoman being finished up, and there's a Chain Vest on the side of Chelby, and no one's going to be able to do the physical damage to Chelby. He's just not going to care.
Yeah, and that's what I really like, though, about what Chelby has done here. Going full tank means that he he didn't have any risk of falling behind because he went
Look
for
at this
damage.
rotation by Little Wraith.
Really quick right there. Equalizer comes down again. Brilliantly placed. Chelby the only one to get knocked up by that Cyclone. And Juves gets taken out so quickly in that fight. 2 kills already here for Little Wraith. Will they follow up with more? Choo Choo's taken low. Won't find anything. So Little Wraith will take the tower.
That was such intelligent rotational play by Little Wraith. They made Chelby push out that bottom lane, and as soon as Avant-Garde came to try and stop him, they were there. And they managed to turn that fight immediately around. They're going to take this inhibitor turret.
And they're going to grab it, no problems at all. Inhibitor will be next. Will they go for it? Easily for Little Wraith right here. Counter it. Minky Well, Choo Choo's not going to be able to defend this one.
Yeah, Little Wraith really just turning this game on its head and saying, look, we're going to win this one. We're going to dictate where we go around this map, and we are strong enough to do it this time. Really fantastic to see.
And look at the pink wards as well that Little Wraith have on Baron right now. After they go base, I would expect them to pressure it.
Yeah, they don't even necessarily need to as well. I mean,
Oh, they're going to
whoa!
go back in. Juice gets caught by that hook. Nice death sentence there by Thresh. And will they be able to follow up with more? Choo Choo's eats a Sonic Wave. Will Chelby follow? No, he won't. He's being disciplined about it. Minky Well gets caught up, though. They're in a chokehold. This could be an interesting situation for Avant. Nice ultimate from Keen as well. Keeps him safe. And that's going to be the disengage. Although, maybe not. Talisman of Ascension has been used. Will they go for it? Erect Gymnast going to take a lot of damage. If that Equalizer goes down, it'll be a landslide victory for Little Wraith. But Rumble dies. That's bad news for Little Wraith. I don't think they care, though. They're still going to fight. Erect Gymnast eats a Reckoning right there. Stars. Oh, Choo Choo's gets taken out mid-leap. What a lot of damage coming out onto him. And Little Wraith, with such an extended fight, they win it out.
Yeah, absolutely. They may even try and catch on to Cardred here, who's popped the spell shit a little bit early.
Oh, and he will go down for it. Finds a kill for his troubles, though. What's Juice going to do here? This is his 3rd respawn, I believe. Will he find a kill? He gets it onto Keen, but he goes down. There were a couple of aces in that engage.
There were so many kills. I think everyone died at least once, apart from Stars. So, Stars managing to, being the star of this show. You know, you say he's a bit of a new member of this team, sort of doesn't understand that you're supposed to go 1-for-1 in all of these trades. And
Didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo that they're all planning to die.
Yeah, but he was just awake and able to just hang out in this middle lane and finish off those creeps. But that engage was so chaotic. And it was a little bit of Little Wraith just thinking that they can stay around for as long as possible and it doesn't even matter. They overstayed their welcome slightly, but wow, they did so well, even though they were put into these situations where Avant-Garde were clearly more healthy, but Little Wraith played it so well.
Look at that, Chelby just going in. Takes no damage because he is so tanky right here.
And Choo Choo's being shut down as well by Keen as soon as he tried to jump into that fight. That Q was just so instant.
There we go, though. Little Wraith, after that team fight, they do go to that Baron to pressure it. And Chelby, on his own here in a 1v3, just taking a Erect Gymnast down slowly. But the Super Minions are in the base.
Yeah, and Juve's now legendary on deaths here on this Wukong. Not going to be worth all that much either, though. So that's another thing. He can just be a meat shield in these fights, which is absolutely fine. Not going to be worth too much money when he does go down. And the Cyclone is always going to be effective, and it's almost off cooldown as well. Ooh.
Look at the moves there from Juves.
Yeah, smooth Juves.
I liked it.
Absolutely. This Baron almost going down as well. Very, very sneaky. Very KT Bullets-esque here. They're just going to be going at this one. Although, I mean, it's...
Erect Gymnast getting
nice
caught, though.
hook.
Box comes out. He gets slowed, and look at the damage culling across the wall there. Wild Growth won't be enough to save him. Colo in a 1v2 here. Going to take a lot of damage. Minky joins him as a 1v3, but again, another beautiful equalizer. Not much for Little Wraith to follow up on, though. They were too busy taking out Juves, but they're going to go for Minky Well here. He's going to drag us down across the wall. Chelby follows. It's now a 1v1 as they battle it out. I don't think they're going to get the kills, though. It's going to be an extended chase.
Yeah, absolutely. Minky Well doesn't quite know where to go at this point. He is a big dragon, though. He does kind of want to fight this, but nice resonating strike. Chelby going to be picking up that one.
Yeah, and straight across the wall there with that safeguard. This is Little Wraith, though, picking up a huge advantage in this game now. 10,000 gold is the lead and 9 kills.
Yeah, absolutely. And Little Wraith, that whole time that they were posturing around Baron, they had super creeps pouring into Avant-Garde's base. So really, really nice play.
Oh, look at that damage on
Wow.
Erect Gymnast. Didn't last a moment right there. It's a double kill for Stars, or rather one. He picks up the tower as well. Kadra going to take a lot of damage. Reckoning comes through as well. Inhibitor getting taken out here as well.
Yeah, Stars is doing so much damage as well as Keen. They're together. The both of them are auto-attacking for so much.
Oh, and look at the death sentences. BHZ should write a book with that one, and Juice is taken so low. They're just cleaning up Avant-Garde right here. In Nexus Towers will go down, and surely this will be the game. Little Wraith looking so strong in this game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really well played here by Little Wraith. They go back to their original game style, they get ahead, they take the objectives, and they really play this one out. That being said, their picks this game was so much better.
Absolutely right here, and Shelby is still pushing on a Minky Well. They're just cleaning up the field. That's all they need to do. Nexus is exposed. Oh, Equalizer comes down as well, but that's going to be the game, and GG well played to Little Wraith, moving on to the next round in the group stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Little Wraith now to face off against Team Immunity in the top side of this bracket in this Group A matchup, and Optic Snipe is going to be taking on now the Avant-Garde Ascension, who wish to probably ascend up that ladder as quickly as possible to try and secure their spot in the top 2.
And you know what I love about this as well? This is a rematch of the November finals of Go For LOL, as well as the December finals of King of the Rift. The last 2 tournaments that Team Immunity have played were the Go For LOL November finals and the King of the Rift finals. And they met Little Wraith there twice. So
yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be a huge rematch from them. The November finals of Go For LOL were won by Little Wraith. The December finals of King of the Rift were won by Immunity. So this is a huge grudge match.
Absolutely. And Little Wraith really wanted to come back and say, we're the Immunity killers. I mean, they took us down the last time, but we took them down the time before that. And we really want to show that in that series of best of 3 situation that we sort of have over a long period of time, that they're going to be the victors.
So we'll be back next time on Thursday night at 6 p.m. with Team Eviscerate taking on Team NV. So join us then for tonight's broadcast, though. That wraps us up. So on behalf of myself, Atlas, the broadcast crew, and everyone else involved, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Hey, beautiful.
We still on for dinner?
Pepper, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, right?
How about 8:30 at the vegan place?
Actually, I'm in the mood for barbecue.
Sounds good.
Take a call and stay in the game. With the Plantronics rig, headset, and mixer, life comes to games like never before.
Thank you.